I'm going to talk about how many people showed up. It's actually beyond impressive. I mentioned within 2 minutes.
No matter what type of severe asthma you have, Tespire can help you have fewer asthma attacks and breathe better. Tespire is an add-on treatment for people 12 and over. It is not a rescue medication. Don't take Tespire if you're allergic to it. Allergic reactions may occur and can be serious. Rash or eye allergy can happen. Don't stop your asthma treatments unless your doctor tells you to. Tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection or your asthma worsens. Sore throat, joint, and back pain may occur. Avoid live vaccines. No matter who you are, ask your asthma specialist about Tespire today.
First person to stain my shirt gets $100.
Really? Easy money. Are you sure? Don't worry, it's not hot.
Get the tie!
Tide! Oh my God, who are you?
Give this thing like 5 minutes to dry. All right? I don't think I can give you the $100.
Oh my gosh, look at you though.
But I can give you this.
Oh, okay, well this will make me look like $100, so thank you.
Oh, I like that. We should use that. All right, who's next?
Processing the tremendous amount of evidence that still remains at the location. They conducted 40 interviews of individuals who were there as witnesses, but we do not believe we got to talk to all of them. Some people may have returned home after the incident. If you were present at Cook's Corner last night during this incident, we ask that you call our department commander, our dispatch at 714-647-7000 so we can connect you with an investigator and get your statement of what you may have seen at the location. Patrons of Cook's Corner who were there last night had to rapidly leave the location, and we have a lot of their personal effects back on scene inside the crime scene. First, we thank you for your patience. I want to thank those who stayed overnight to give statements. I can only imagine how daunting that might have been and how impactful. We did have members of the community who do services for those who are impacted to make sure that they are getting the psychological and mental health support that they need so that we are not just leaving them alone. That's done through the Trauma Intervention Program of Orange County, who sent numerous personnel there to address those issues. I also want to thank the numerous law enforcement entities, not just within Southern California, Orange County, but beyond. Our partners with ATF, the FBI, the municipal agencies within Orange County, Sheriff Robert Luna and Chief Mike Moore from LASO and LAPD, and my 57 partner sheriffs throughout the state, where every one of them offered resources and help during this trying time. This is not, it's not easy on our personnel. This is the second deputy-involved shooting we had in 4 days. This is the second critical incident at this magnitude that we have processed and responded to over the last 2 years. And beyond the process that we have in place, I want to assure the public that not only do we evaluate our response, the tactics we use, the training, looking for opportunities to improve, but we also have internal mechanisms to evaluate through administrative reviews, internal affairs investigations. The district attorney will talk about his role in doing the officer-involved shooting investigation. The Office of Independent Review also responded out to this incident and was there last night. So we have a lot of ability to review this. Within about 45 days, we will release a critical incident video of the encounter that took place last night that will have, as appropriate, video and other information that we share with the public about how we responded and what we will do going forward. I also want to thank just my department and our community that we serve. It is not uncommon when something like this happens to have an outpouring of support from the community, and that happened last year. It happened again last night. I don't want to respond to any of these, and I hate being up here talking about critical incidents like this. We have to put a stop to these mass shootings. We have to train on a national platform of what we know will be responsive to mitigate them rapidly. And I believe we have, within the Orange County Sheriff's Department, and partnering agencies that do it like we do, when you can respond to a church and be within the worship center within 4 minutes, and you can respond to an active shooter unfolding extremely dynamic incident with tens, dozens of people on premise trying to get there, navigate the risk, and identify the shooter, and do that with a matter of minutes. I think that shows that we are a model agency in how to respond to these. My hope is that we would never have to be that model agency, but the practices and policy we put in place have definitely helped save lives if we have to address these critical incidents. So we'll answer questions at the end of this of the 5 speakers, and I thank you once again for being here.
Good afternoon. First of all, our hearts go out to all the victims, their families, the first responders, and anyone who was impacted by this horrible tragedy that happened yesterday. I'm going to summarize the OCFA's involvement in the chain of events from our perspective. At approximately 7:05 p.m., OCFA firefighters responded to Cook's Corner to assist the Orange County Sheriff's Department for a reported shooting. The first engine, Orange County Engine 42, arrived on scene in just under 4 minutes. Immediately upon arrival, the Orange County Fire Authority and the Orange County Sheriff's Department went into unified command. Thanks to the quick and courageous work of the Orange County Sheriff's Department, our firefighters were cleared to enter the scene very quickly and were able to begin treatment and transport of the patients that were on scene. Ultimately, 4 patients were pronounced deceased on scene, one of them being the shooter, and 6 patients were taken to the hospital, 2 of those in critical condition. The phenomenal work by the Orange County Sheriff's Department to rapidly secure the scene empowered our firefighter paramedics to get in there and save lives. I'm proud to report that the 6th and final patient was loaded in an ambulance and off scene to a hospital in just under 46 minutes, which is an incredible feat in a hectic environment such as this kind of scene. We at the Orange County Fire Authority, as well as the Orange County Sheriff's Department, train for these events frequently, both individually and together. To be able to secure the scene that quickly and get our paramedics in there to render treatment and take the patients to the hospital that quickly is a real tribute to the training, professionalism, collaboration, and the execution of our 2 agencies when they work together. At the conclusion of the incident, all OCFA members who were part of the incident went through a critical incident stress debriefing process. As you can imagine, the sights that they saw that night were pretty horrific. The OCFA wants to thank the Orange County Sheriff's Department, the FBI, the ATF, Mission Hospital, our local elected officials, and the entire community of Trabuco Canyon for working together during this challenging and heartbreaking time. This tragic incident weighs heavy on the community as well as our first responders, and our hearts to go out to all who were involved. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Orange County Supervisor Don Wagner. I'm here first as the chairman of the Board of Supervisors to say on behalf of the entire community, to the extent I have the right to do that, the entire county, to offer condolences to those who were so tragically injured and or killed last night on behalf of this county community. We do want to know that we are there for you. But I'm not just here as the chairman. I also have the privilege of representing Cook's Corner and the surrounding areas. There that I represent, I want to say thank you for that outpouring of love and support that's come to so many as a result of last night, and to say thank you to the men and women of the Orange County Sheriff's Department, the men and women of the Orange County Fire Authority. You heard from Sheriff Barnes, you heard from Chief Mall about how well they worked together and how quickly they were out there. 2 minutes, that's a remote area. 2 minutes to have our Sheriff's Department there and actually running towards the gunfire and engaging and putting a stop to the carnage. 4 minutes to get our first responders in from the Fire Authority to treat the wounded, to do the job necessary to get them off to Dr. Takeuchi, who you'll hear from shortly. They rightly can take pride in their response last night. We in the county can rightly take comfort knowing that these men and women are so well trained and are out there and can respond so effectively, so efficiently, so quickly in such a terrible situation. I want to talk a minute about the area itself. The sheriff told you Cook's Corner, though we're hearing, oh, it's a biker bar, and in many ways it is. You go out there, you'll see motorcycles galore. There is a sea of chrome out there because it's really fun to ride your bikes out there. But the truth is that is a family spot. It draws bikers and so many others from around this county out there. It is a wholesome place. I've been out there when they've done charity events. I've been out there when they put on music shows for our veterans. This is a pillar of the community, to overuse that cliche, but it absolutely applies here. It was spaghetti night. We're seeing a community come together, and it will be forever sad. There's no other word for it. That such a happy place will now go forward under the shadow of what happened last night. I am in touch with community members out there. We are hearing there will be a vigil. At some point, there was an early effort to try to do it tomorrow. I understand in working with the Sheriff's Department that may be too soon to have the site available. So stay tuned for more details about the vigil that will be going on out there shortly, so that the community has an opportunity to come together and grieve and say thank you to the men and women of the Sheriff's Department. And last quick point about this incident, other incidents, and just the issue of mental health in our community. We encourage everyone struggling from this crime or otherwise in need of compassionate help to contact OC Navigator's Mental Health Crisis Support Line. The number's 855-625-4657. This county is determined to make resources available to everyone who is struggling from this horrific event and from whatever might be troubling you out there in this complicated world. We are here for you. OC Navigator's Mental Health Crisis Support Line, 855-625-4657. Seek help. Seek help for your friends and your loved ones. And thank you again to the Orange County Sheriff's Department and to the Orange County Fire Authority for their marvelous response last night.
Good afternoon. My name is Todd Spitzer. I'm the elected district attorney, and I'm not so happy to be here. The district attorney has two roles when you have a situation like this. One would be to review the evidence when it's ready to determine.
You're listening to the latest update out of Orange County, California, after a mass shooting at a popular biker bar. 4 people dead, including the shooter. That suspect's photo on the right side of your screen, a retired Ventura County sergeant. Some of you will be seeing a 2-minute break.
That question has already answered itself. The other role that the district attorney has is to review the officer-involved shooting to determine whether or not that was a lawful use of lethal force. Chairman Wagner talked about the fact he represents that district. I represented that district today, obviously, as a DA, but I was its county supervisor for 12 years and its state legislator for 6 years. This is personal. I am one of those bikers. I am one of those people that would often go on Wednesday nights to spaghetti night. I am one of those people who understand how the county and the canyons are grieving. It is iconic, it is special, and nothing that happened last night is going to ruin either the canyon, its austerity, its prominence, or Cook's Corner. We mourn the loss of life, and we mourn the loss of yet another piece of everyday America that is Cook's Corner. The shooter, John Snelling, I hate to even say his name, a former police sergeant. Let that sink in. Last night, brethren law enforcement officers killed somebody who at one time had earned the honor of being a sworn police officer, a sergeant in the state of California. That person is dead. So there's no prosecution, no trial, no opportunity for the surviving victims and loved ones he left behind to confront the shooter, to stand up tall against this kind of action and be counted. And what John Snelling stole from them is one thing that can never be replaced, and that's the life of their loved ones. And for those who survived, he stole their peace and their sense of security. For goodness sakes, police officers are sworn to protect our communities. We trust them with our lives. We call them when we need help. But instead of helping save lives, John Snelling shot and killed strangers he never met and tried to kill one of his dearly loved ones that he obviously at one time loved dearly and deeply. Orange County District Attorney investigators have been on scene since last night and all through the night and again today, and they are reviewing the shooting by 7 sworn deputy sheriffs that thankfully brought the end to the carnage. Our office is tasked with reviewing their conduct and whether a crime occurred, but I want to be very clear, because I don't want to have anybody think that while we're reviewing this, we don't understand something that I, as the district attorney, want to represent very, very clearly, because I've been fully briefed with respect to the evidence so far by my team and have reviewed their written memorandum and interviewed them. And there's nothing that I have found at this point to believe in any way whatsoever that their acts were nothing less than heroic, and that nothing they did last night indicates any criminal activity or excessive use of force in any way whatsoever. Those 7 deputies deployed, we've recovered at least 75 shell casings from a shotgun, from a rifle, and from handguns. Those deputy sheriffs took the action that was necessary to take out the suspect, to stop the danger, to use their training, and to make sure that the suspect could do no more harm. Every single second counted in those few moments, and these deputies, who we're all so proud of, were on scene and engaged the active shooter within minutes of the shots that he was shooting at them. And they were taking fire. And they didn't back down, and they did what they were trained to do. And for goodness sakes and for God's sakes, I am so grateful and thankful. We will continue to thoroughly investigate this. We will obviously form conclusions, but I don't see, although it could change, that my representation to you today or my opinion will be any different based upon what I know now. Victim advocates are standing by to help anybody and everybody who needs assistance, and they're commonly referred to as waymakers. We have advocates here today, and I want to make sure that you report that anybody who believes that they need counseling or grief assistance or any resources necessary, they're to call Waymakers at 949-250-0488. No one should have to experience this tragedy. No one should experience an all-you-can-eat spaghetti event at Cook's Corner and find themselves faced with gunfire and peril and trying to escape, and people who they love and care about harmed and in harm's way. This is our community, and the Orange County Fire Authority, the Orange County Sheriff's Department, all the other mutual aid agencies who deployed down Santiago Canyon Road and up El Toro Road and through Live Oak Canyon. These are places we know and we've known for years. So God bless America, but God bless law enforcement. And let me reiterate unequivocally, Orange County is a place that loves its law enforcement and its firefighters and its first responders. We support them. We don't denounce them here in Orange County. And let last night be a lesson to everybody else in America who's been tearing down law enforcement to understand this is exactly why we need them, because they stop danger, they protect us, and they care. They care deeply. God bless them.
Good afternoon. I'm Tetsuya Takeuchi, Trauma Medical Director at Providence Mission Hospital. Yesterday evening, after 7 p.m., we received a mass casualty incident to our hospital, and we immediately activated the trauma backup system, which invited several trauma surgeons, trauma nurses, anesthesiologists, and OR staff to the hospital to be prepared to receive multiple patients with gunshot wounds. We received a total of 6 injured patients, all of whom were hit by gunfire, and 2 of them were in critical condition upon arrival. Those 2 patients were immediately stabilized and resuscitated with successful resuscitation efforts by the trauma team, and the rest of the patients were treated in Mission Hospital. Currently, all patients are stable, 2 still in critical condition, and 1 patient fortunately was able to release from the hospital. Others are still receiving active treatment. Thank you.
Before we entertain questions, I just want to correct one piece of information. The individual, the shooter, had 4 weapons. There were 3 handguns, a 380 pistol, a 38 caliber 5-shot revolver, a 25 caliber pistol, and a shotgun. There was not a rifle. So just to correct the statement, there was not a rifle recovered at the scene. There were those 4 weapons. With that, I'll take questions.
Sheriff Barnes, I have 3 questions for you. I just want to clarify that he drove from Ohio to kill his estranged wife, Marie. And number 2 is, did she have a restraining order against him, and was there a history of domestic violence between him and her?
Okay, so there's 3 compounded questions there. We believe he did travel from Ohio, to answer your first question. Well, we don't know the motive because he's deceased. We do believe that when he arrived at the location, it was very clear based on his intent and our interview of witnesses that he walked directly to her. There was not a discussion, a dialogue, or an argument. He immediately fired upon her, striking her once. He immediately fired upon her, the lady who was joining her for dinner that night, striking her at least once, who later succumbed to her injuries when she exited the establishment onto the roadway. We're not aware of any domestic violence restraining order that's in place. There were legal proceedings going on as a result of their filing for divorce. They were separated. We do believe that his wife resided in Orange County at the time. We believe it in the city of Orange. He was out of custody. There was a hearing that was in early August. The status of that hearing, whether it occurred or not, we don't know. There is not any documentation to correspond with the outcome of that hearing within the judicial system. I think I answered all 3 of your questions.
I have a question. Being out in Orange County, I'm one of the county residents myself.
Yes, nice to see you, and I'm sorry for the circumstances in which you're here.
Is there anything that Orange County can do privately without having to wait for
And you can kind of pick up not only that very heavy rain that is going on. Let's bring that back, actually. But look at the wind. Look at the wind. That is unbelievable. We're talking some serious wind now being picked up there. Of course, that is the Port Clinton area, which is very close now to getting into the city of Sandusky. So there is our line. Put-in-Bay is in the thick of things. Can we pull up the Put-in-Bay cam? Can we get some of those cameras up too? I don't know how much we're going to be able to see, but our crew in the control room looking at that right now. So the leading edge of this line right now stretches from Put-in-Bay. Here's Port Clinton, so they are right on the edge of this thing as it's continuing to move south. Marblehead here, you've got folks that have a lot of vacation homes and whatnot. Kelly's Island, you get back toward Put-in-Bay, Middle Bass, South Bass Islands, all in the thick of things right now. And the concern is when we start to see these little kinks, and we are seeing several of these little kinks starting to show up as this storm complex gets closer to shore and closer to the radar, we'll get more and more definition of this. But this is all this high-speed wind that's coming out. At the same time, we have very heavy rain coming down. And of course, we are very concerned with the high-speed winds. Straight line, turning, it doesn't matter. We just have some huge problems. All right, there is a look at the shores and island can, and I'm going to tell you right now, that picture is not what I expected to see. But we'll have to see. That's Marblehead, right? That's the Marblehead Lighthouse? Okay, so that's over here. They are not in the storm yet. So let's just kind of take a mental snapshot of what that looks like. Tranquil, right? We saw some lightning there in the distance. So we'll check back in once this line gets through Marblehead. I have a feeling that's going to be a very different picture, of course.
Hey, Bets.
Yep.
Can we pull up weather 2 real quick?
Please.
Yeah, so right now we're talking 2 tornadoes, all right, that are more than likely on the ground or just up in the air. There's a tornado near Catawba Island, which Betsy's been covering between Catawba Road and East Harbor Road at this time. The other one was just south of the town of Lindsay, and that one was south of the Port Clinton area as well, all right? So just north of Fremont, to give you a little perspective. So pulling up weather 2 here, here's the 2 kinks that we're watching. First one's right here. This is the one. Here's Marblehead right here. So that camera's about to get rocking. That's heading down to the south and the east. The other one is right here, all right? There's a lot of little kinks in this line where you could get those spin-ups, but these are the 2 that we're watching that have that tornadic rotation. So if you're in Marblehead, if you're anywhere on the eastern side of that island right now, please go to your safe place and take cover right now. If you're in Sandusky, if you're anywhere in and around Cedar Point, this tornadic part of this thunderstorm is coming right for you right now. So you need to be in your safe place right now. There's not much time for that. Please go ahead and do that. So I want to track these out. This is the tornadic part of these storms, all right, in terms of timing. So our tornadic part number 1, Sandusky around 11:33. So you've got about 10 minutes there. Fairview Lanes around 11:36, and Huron, the town of Huron, around 11:41, all right? That's for the part number 1 that we're watching that is now approaching Marblehead. The other portion of the storm that appears to be, producing perhaps the tornado back towards the west and still has that warning is this portion of the storm right here. This is just west of Erie County for the second portion. So this is just outside of our viewing area. Toledo stations are covering this right now, but this will approach Muncie Hollow around 11:27 and Clyde around 11:35. So 2 parts of this storm that we're watching right now. For everyone else, there are more parts that we're watching out over the lake. This, Betsy and I were talking about before the show, this portion of the storm right here, which is offshore, has eyes on Lorain County. So please be on high alert in Lorain County as that little kink is held together quite nicely. There's some more out towards the north and the west, but this line as a whole, Betsy, continues to pack a punch. There's a ton of lightning coming over this. I know a lot of you right now in Lake County are dealing with this storm that's moving in. This is the beginning. You'll likely get a break, and then you'll get this major storm in here, this big line out over the lake. Live look at Port Clinton, though. Boy, they are getting slammed right now by the storm. Hammered. Likely 60, 70 mile per hour winds with that. Lots of lightning, heavy rain to boot. So
National Weather Service sending out urgent messaging.
Right.
Marblehead, Sandusky, Castalia, Fremont, take cover now. They are very urgently sending this out. You can see the wind that we just showed you that's out over the lake. Now, here's the thing, as Matt mentioned, this little kink right here, this is the kink that produced the tornado west of Detroit, it has held. This is a big problem. There's probably a water spout on this right now. That, as it continues to track southeast, is headed for Lorain County. That's what Matt just mentioned. Likewise, we also have a strong thunderstorm that is producing some high wind gusts, possibility of hail, as well as all this lightning in Lake County. So we still have this severe thunderstorm warning in Lake County, northern sections of Geauga County. This will continue to move eastward toward Ashtabula County, likely to stay on the severe side of that. I would not be surprised if within the next 15 to 20 minutes we have a huge severe thunderstorm warning that is issued for the lakeshore areas as this complex continues to drop south. And as mentioned, we not only have to deal with the very high wind threat that is going on. And of course, this is a look right now from Fairport Harbor. And that is in Lake County, where we have that severe thunderstorm warning that is ongoing right now. That's looking west. And you can see just how much lightning is beginning to light up the sky. I'm not necessarily seeing anything significant as far as the wind goes in that storm, but there is obviously some wind happening. You can see the tree moving there on that camera, so we'll keep an eye on that too. That part of the storm has just kind of moved through there, so they're kind of in things right now. But we watch this wind field that is absolutely racing across the lake. Now that it is over the lake, now that that storm complex is over the lake, we may start to see it pick up in forward speed, and that's because there is less friction over the lake than there is on land. So that is another complicating factor, because remember, when we start talking about convective wind gusts, we are talking about not only the wind that is being produced by the storm, but you add that wind to the storm speed itself. So if a storm is moving at 55 miles an hour, you only have to have a 30-mile-per-hour wind gust to come out of it, and you got 80-mile-per-hour winds. So it's obviously a pretty complicated situation, but one that is warranting some pretty significant alerting, and that's why we're kind of going into continuous coverage with this right now. So again, Marblehead, you folks should be in your safety spots as we have a tornado possibility that is moving through Ottawa County right now. Additionally, Erie County, we have the tornado warning that is issued. It's this area right here, this little squirrely area that is moving over Marblehead Peninsula right now. That's going to continue to move to the southeast. There is Marblehead, and we're probably going to start to see things picking up a little bit. As the lightning flashes, it illuminates the clouds. It's pretty interesting. But, you know, I don't know that we are looking exactly into the storm at this point. I think we're probably pointing farther to the north here, but the lightning is there most certainly, and the wind will likely start to really pick up. So we'll keep an eye on that. But we also have some higher winds, and this is another area where we're probably seeing some rotation that is coming right over the county line from Sandusky County into Erie County. So not the city of Sandusky, although it's city of Sandusky, it's kind of same difference at this point with getting that. Which camera is this? That is Lakeside Dock. Look at the trees. This is the severe wind that's coming in here, friends, and this is really ripping through there. Those trees are being whipped pretty good, and you can see the lightning that is vivid. We were seeing 2,700 plus lightning strikes in 15 minutes when these storms came across Michigan. We are starting to see less lightning, but we are not really seeing the storms trending downward in intensity, unfortunately. So these cameras are just invaluable resources for us to be able to really see what's happening in other parts of the area. And, you know, we compare that with what's going on the radar, and when you put the two together, you have a really great opportunity to get a pretty good assessment of what's happening. Then you throw in some ground truth from like our sheriff's offices, law enforcement, ham operators and whatnot, and that really helps. So again, our big area of concern just now coming into Sandusky, the city of Sandusky, please get into your safety areas. If you are by chance on vacation, maybe you're renting a place or you're staying at one of the hotels out in Sandusky around the Cedar Point area, you want to get into a safety spot, get away from the windows. If you're in a hotel, get in the bathroom. They don't have windows in bathroom hotels, at least the hotels that I stay in. Maybe I don't stay in fancy enough hotels, but you want to put a lot of distance between you and the outside wall of your hotel room. Additionally, if you feel most comfortable, you can get into the hallway, although I think you should just stay in your room with doors around you and get in that bathroom and hunker hunker down for just a little bit. If you're in one of the vacation rentals, the small homes and cottages that dot this area, you want to get into an interior place, get as close to the middle of that house or cottage as you can, and try and get into a closet or a bathroom that has no windows. That'll help you out a lot as all of this is coming in. Cedar Point is just about to get into the real high-speed winds coming in, and that is going to come straight down into Huron. And again, friends, I can't stress enough, between Huron and Vermilion, I have big concerns for some very nasty wind coming straight off of the lake. This is coming almost unimpeded straight at you, so we're going to get some pretty big winds out of that. Also, if we go over into Lorain County from Avon back through the city of Lorain and into Vermilion there, that's where we're also going to be getting that with those high-speed winds coming in as that storm complex continues to drop to the southeast. The dark blues that you see here, that's 75-mile-per-hour winds being picked up on the radar. That's above the surface, but all of this is being pushed down and out as this storm continues to move south. Avon Lake, you are also going to be getting this, and I'm starting to see this bowing out a little bit, Matt. So if we take a look at this, we are always looking on the radar, especially when we get into severe weather situations, for patterns. Patterns are really important when you are a meteorologist because it's a really quick way to identify locations of concern. This area right here, this is a big bow echo. That's a sign that we have very high speed winds that are being pushed out ahead of the storm, and those cold airs, the cold air coming out from the storm, it's going to start to sustain itself, and it lifts up. We get kind of that renewed circulation of the air coming in, and that helps to really sustain these high-speed winds. We've got the wind core right in the middle of it, so it's a little bit of a classic signature. And oftentimes, if you've ever, let me give you a little analogy. If you've ever kind of pulled your hand through water, and then you get these little eddies on either side of where your hand is, right here is one of those eddies. This is a little spin that is one, they're called bookend vortices. So we get the big bow echo, and then you get a little bookend vortice. We have one here. This is likely a water spout out on the lake. Not worried about that, but look what happens when we come back here to the other end. We have another bookend vortice, and that is what we are dealing with now in Ottawa County. This is a Port Clinton cam, and they are still getting rocked by wind. And of course, this is going to continue to push to the east. Look at the lake. Look at those white caps. You can only imagine what this would be like in a small boat out on the lake. And those the wind-driven waves are going to continue to crash on shore. We're probably getting some beach erosion out of this. But look at the water on the road. And these people, you know, there's almost blinding rain probably as folks are slowing down, obviously, to get over the bridges and whatnot as they're passing by. You can see the rain being whipped by the wind as well. So it almost looks like a hurricane situation out there. And if we're dealing with 75-mile-an-hour winds, guess what, friends? That's hurricane wind force. So we very well may have some damage that's being done at this moment. Matt mentioned there were windows blown out in Ottawa County, which is west of where we were talking about in Marblehead in the Port Clinton area.
Betsy, you're about to get your giant severe thunderstorm warning.
Okay, that's what was mentioned. So This is all for the bow echo, okay? So they're going to put out a severe thunderstorm warning, most likely here for Lorain and Cuyahoga counties, as this thing is going to drop in, and it's going to just slam the lakeshore areas. There it is. And we're going to
Summit, too.
They really issued a big one. All right, so this is a huge severe thunderstorm warning. Lorain, Cuyahoga, Medina, and Northern Summit counties. And this is all to account for that big bow echo, that big batch of wind that is coming in. This would be a straight line wind, except, remember, we can get these little swirls that form on that line. Additionally, we continue to watch the thunderstorms in Lake County, Geauga County. We do not have any severe thunderstorm warning as of yet for Ashtabula County, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Look at the lightning. It's growing. That lightning is getting more substantial in Lake County, northern Geauga County. If we could pull that Fairport Harbor cam back up, we might have a little bit better view of what's going on out there. There you see it. Okay, so obviously they got a lot of rain. The lightning is still firing up there. I always watch the trees on these, and ooh, that was a good lightning flash. We're starting to see that wind whipping around just a little bit. Well, Wow, that was a really close lightning strike there. So you're probably hearing all of that lightning and thunder that's happening out there if you are in Lake and northern Geauga counties. Meanwhile, we still have the severe thunderstorm warning. So the city of Cleveland, all the way out to Euclid, Solon, Chagrin Falls, down through Independence, and Broadview and Broadview Heights and Brecksville, North Royalton, Strongsville, Olmsted Falls, Olmsted Township, right up through Westlake and Bay Village. All of Cuyahoga County under a severe thunderstorm warning right now, as is Lorain County, Avon Lake, Sheffield Lake, Lorain, right back through Vermilion. We have the severe thunderstorm warning as this is going to continue to drop in. The notch that we are watching is in this area, so that's the one that's been coming all the way from Michigan, and that we may still see that cutting in here into Lorain County. And then, of course, as there's Cedar Point, look at that. Wow, almost continuous lightning at Cedar Point right now, as you can see, and we're probably getting some of the flashing lights off of the rides and whatnot too, but just absolutely incredible. High-speed winds, also driving rain, and so that's a big problem. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that. The city of Sandusky right now is still in the thick of things with this tornado warning that we've been watching. You can kind of see this green area here. It's not our traditional view of, we always say reds and greens real close together and all that. Sometimes in these situations, it's a very subtle shift of the wind that's picked up on the radar, especially when we're farther away from the radar. You're looking higher into the thunderstorm. And so we still have very big concerns that we have tornado potential right now in the city of Sandusky, and that will continue to move farther to the southeast, probably right along US 6 and 2, down toward Milan and Berlin Heights. So there's Berlin Heights. Huron is right here. You folks are just about to get hit with that high-speed wind that's coming in, and then, of course, over toward Vermilion. We are concerned, too. I'm concerned about this area right here. That's the kink. So remember, I was telling you about the bookend vortices, right? So there's a swirl that's out in the middle of the lake. This is the end of that bow echo, and sometimes you can get some winds that are doing some real funky things there, and that is the case. This is a pretty significant signature right now that is just south of the city of Sandusky. So we are just south of US 2, which cuts, of course, through Sandusky, as well as 6 that cuts right across here. It's right at 6 and State Route 4, US 6 and State Route 4, continuing to move to the southeast. So this is going to come right across, right down 250, just into the Milan area. And I mean, I'm talking just in minutes. We'll just get into your safety spots if you're not there already. If you are still in bed and you're like, should I get out? Yes, get out of bed, please. Get out of bed. This is a live look now at Sandusky Bay on our Shores and Islands Cams network, and you can see the rain coming down. Obviously, what we can't see is anything to really pinpoint how those winds are whipping, except for the fact that you can kind of see sheets of rain being blown around there. On the bottom right, it looks like that's taking place, and the whole camera itself is vibrating. That's never a good thing. Because usually these cameras are locked down pretty tight, but we're obviously also getting a lot of lightning that is showing there. The high-speed winds also continuing to come to areas just southwest of Sandusky, Groton, and then on down into Norwalk. So Norwalk, you are in a severe thunderstorm warning right now as well. So the tornado threat appears to be a little bit farther to the north. I'm going to just move this just a little bit this way. I want to get a look at this. There's another circulation that's out here in Bellevue. So we'll see if they issue another tornado warning for western sections of Huron County here imminently. But, this is a night where we really have been kind of trying to tell everybody, heads up, this is coming. It's not coming at a great time. We have a lot of concerns that this is going to be coming at night. People may not be paying attention. They're probably thinking, oh, it's fine. We can just go to bed. No worries. And then, bam, this beast is coming across the lake. And that is what's happening right now. So where you see these dark blues, that's where the radar is picking up the movement that is coming toward the radar at 75 plus miles per hour. So this is a pretty significant chunk of wind that is coming in, and you get these little swirls that come right on the edge of this larger wind shift that will be coming in. So we likely still have a southwest wind out ahead of this thing, and then all of a sudden these winds are going to turn and crank up, and you're going to get a big burst of heavy rain and also the very high winds coming in. So it is kind of unfolding here, right? Multiple threats, multiple areas, and it's all kind of going according to what was forecast earlier this evening. There's the bow echo, okay? It's spreading out and it's not losing steam, unfortunately. Look at this. Where's this one? This is the camera we were looking at earlier. Yeah, the Port Clinton camera. And the wind that's just absolutely cranking those flags around there. We're probably getting some flooding that's taking place here, onshore flooding. So the wind will push the water onshore, and we are probably going to be seeing that throughout Lorain County, throughout Cuyahoga County too. So if you are on the shore in places like Bay Village, Rocky River, Lakewood, the city of Cleveland, over into the Edgewater neighborhood, and then skipping farther east into Bracknell, and then straight up into Euclid, we likely will be seeing a big push of water that's coming along with this complex of this storm complex that's coming in. Quick check on the lightning out of all of this too, because lightning is often a harbinger of how things are progressing. We still have a lot of lightning that is happening here in northern Ohio. Erie County, we're still getting this indication of these high-speed winds, real high-speed straight-line winds, but we also have some swirls, and we've had some damage that's been done back in the Port Clinton area as this complex came across Ottawa County. So we still have that tornado warning that is issued for Erie County specifically, but we may also see additional warnings coming out a little bit farther east. Notice the kink right here. Matt, we've been watching this thing all night. It just has not let up. And it's especially concerning because it is on the tail end of that bowing area, that push out of these straight line winds that are coming with this particular part of the thunderstorm cell. Also, I'm noticing now that there is a new severe thunderstorm warning farther to the south. Look at this. Huron County, Richland, Ashland County, and now northwestern Wayne County is also included in this. So they've expanded that initial warning as this is going to continue to move to the southeast. They are getting way ahead of these severe thunderstorms, and they will, of course, continue to issue as the evening goes on. I don't think this is tagged as of yet, but just to kind of give you an idea, 160,000 people just in the southern section of this warning, and it is a considerable threat. So we talked a little bit about this the last time we had, last night we had the considerable flash flood warning. And the last big round of thunderstorms that we had considerable and catastrophic wording that was put into some of the thunderstorm warnings. And this is the National Weather Service's way of kind of fine-tuning these warnings. So you put out a blanket severe thunderstorm warning, which means winds 60 mile per hour or greater, hail 1 inch or larger. But when they start to add on little bits of information like considerable, now you're talking 70 mile per hour wind or greater. And that is what they are starting to assign these. So it's an orange severe thunderstorm warning, but you see the yellow outline. That's what that considerable means. Our tornado warning, by the way, which is a purple box with a red outline, is the base radar indicated tornado warning. If that outline turns black, that means it's observed. So that's a little indicator that we've added into some of the features here on our radar and our tracking software. So Matt, do you want to kind of give everybody a little bit of an overview and just kind of do a bit of a reset for us?
Sure, yeah, we'll go big picture here. Betsy, I continue to look at that little kink that we've been watching. That's going to head into the Huron area and east of town near Vermilion here shortly. So we'll touch on that in a second, but big picture look right now, a lot of you staying up late tonight with us, and we appreciate that. A lot of fear out there, you know, what's going to happen? These are nasty storms that we're tracking, and a lot of you are under severe thunderstorm warnings right now, and you probably don't even have any lightning in the area. So let's explain. The big orange boxes that you see there, those are your severe thunderstorm warnings. The reason why they're issued in such a big chunk, because it's a guarantee that this line is going to affect these counties, all right? So if you're in Ashland County, Wayne County, Medina County, even Summit County at this point, the storms are still far off. It's going to be a while before these storms move in. You see how they just dropped that tornado warning, which is great news for our folks in Erie County, but we're going to continue to keep a really close eye on that storm. But most of us, as you get closer to Lakeshore, are seeing that lightning, hearing that thunder, and those storms are imminent for you. So in terms of this line right now, this is what we're watching. This whole entire complex is an MCS, or mesoscale convective system. Big words for almost midnight, right? You don't need to know that. But what it is, it's not just a line of storms. It's literally a living, breathing system of storms that's going to continue to track for hundreds of miles down towards the south and the east along this frontal boundary. And as it does, it starts to develop a lot of wind energy with it. You get a lot of rain falling within this. That rain brings rain-cooled air down with it, so it develops what we call a cold pool. So you get this cold area of air up here. Cold air, remember, is heavy and dense, so that cold air continues to sink. Well, that sinking air can't go in the ground, so it gushes out. So we develop a lot of wind energy, and that's what we're seeing with this line as it moves in. So the primary threat for everyone as we go throughout the rest of the evening, as this line blows through, it's going to be probably a 15 to 20-minute chunk of your time where you're going to see very strong winds. Not everyone's going to see the real strong winds, but all of us are going to see wind out of this. You're going to get a wall of heavy rain, and you're going to have lots of thunder and lightning with this. Once that initial line goes through, wherever you live, you should be fine after that. You'll have rain and lightning, maybe some lingering wind, but the tornado threat and your damaging wind threat's going to be over. This is not like last night where we had storms that continue to develop. A lot of those weren't severe last night, but they lasted forever, right? We got a ton of rain out of it, whereas tonight is a quick hit of storms. And then once it's gone, it'll start to subside in terms of that severe threat, all right? So this is a kind of a one and done scenario tonight, but this one is a pretty big one. So this line continues down towards the south. In terms of the warnings, you can see all the areas in orange, as I mentioned, under severe thunderstorm warnings. But I want to get back into the storm again. We can look inside the storm, and you notice that radar that we always show that you have on your phone app that shows the greens and the reds, and that shows you how heavy the rainfall is. But this radar, when you look at this, you're probably familiar with this if you watch severe weather coverage or a weather junkie. This shows you the wind. We can look inside these storms and see what the wind is doing, and that's where meteorologists come in, and we can analyze the different parts of the storm. I always see this during tornado warnings for the kids. I've got 3 kids with another one on the way. They're always asking questions, and they don't understand a lot, and there's a lot of adults that don't understand a lot. Doctors know the different parts of your body, right? Everyone has their specialties. Well, meteorologists know the different parts of thunderstorms where we can diagnose where that spin would be, where the dangerous part of the storm would be, and where the not dangerous parts of the storm would be. And that's what the Weather Service does. That's what we do as a service to you on air here. And so there's nothing to be scared of the rest of the evening. We just need to make sure that we're weather aware, all right? We need to make sure that we're in touch with either a meteorologist on TV or you have your apps ready to go, your phone's charged, the alerts are on, all that good stuff, because that's how you're going to know if there's a dangerous part of the storm coming in or if it's just a good old-fashioned thunderstorm, all right? So as we look inside the storm and we look at the different wind within this, we've lost that little area that we saw as it was hugging the lakeshore where we had that rotation. We had 2 strong areas of rotation. We've lost that as of right now, everything becoming a little bit more linear in northern Huron and southern Erie County right now, but we still need to keep an eye on it because it could flare up again where we get another little kink, as Betsy's been talking about, in those winds. But as of right now, just looks like some real powerful winds whipping through Huron and Erie counties. But the area of concern, you notice this bright area out over the lake. This is where we've got that bow echo, right? You've got it's kind of arched like this. That's because we've got the cold air back towards the back, and that cold air is gushing out, all right? So where that bow echo kind of bows out, that's where you've got the strongest winds kind of at the apex of it. So Avon Lake likely getting some gusty winds right now, but the real strong winds are about 5 to 10 minutes offshore right now.
Not even that.
It's not even that.
It's picking up in speed, actually. And I think it's also interesting to note we've lost the dark blue, but don't be, thinking that means that the wind speeds are coming down. Remember, the cells, the rain, the wind is getting closer to the radar. So we're sampling a little bit lower in the atmosphere. Oftentimes the highest winds will be just above the surface. And look at how that is advancing out. This is speeding up. So if we come back over here to Weather One real quick, just to time this out, I've put this at a 60 mile per hour storm track. This is 20 minutes. Look how far this thing is going to go in the next 20 minutes. It is cooking through here, friends. So it is just a few minutes away from making it to Cleveland. Obviously, it is right now on the shoreline in Lorain County. So Lorain over to Vermilion, or back to Vermilion over to Avon Lake. Bay Village, you are next, then Rocky River, Lakewood over into the Edgewater neighborhood of Cleveland, downtown Cleveland, and then you go east throughout Bracknell and right up into Euclid. This is coming very fast, so it's going to have a huge uptick in wind wind. You will definitely know when it arrives. You're going to get hit with some really heavy rain at the same time, but this is continuing to push off to the southeast, and as it does so, it is going to make its presence quite known for everyone here in Northeast Ohio. Meanwhile, also out to the east in Lake County and also in Geauga County, that storm is holding together very well. And at the same time, we also have little cells that are beginning to pop up in between, which I think is kind of interesting. Note too what's going on over in Pennsylvania. We've just got a lot of energy that's being released right now this evening. So there's a few different things that work in tandem to make things really get off the ground here, but we are seeing that. There's Fairport Harbor, as a matter of fact. Things are looking pretty good. Looks like just another stormy night there. That's some great news. They are obviously in the thick of things with a thunderstorm in the area, but I think the biggest part of that thunderstorm right now is just north of the shoreline, just about to get into Geneva on the lake and then over into the city of Ashtabula too. So there's still a lot going on. So Fairport Harbor sits back in here. So that the core of that storm is now to the east of Fairport Harbor. Our Bow Echo is sitting right here, just about to come on shore, as Matt mentioned. And then, of course, we continue to watch the little area with the kinks that have been showing up a little bit farther west. At the same time that we have very heavy rain coming down on areas that received anywhere from 3 to 6, even 7 inches of rain last night. So we could see some more flash flooding. Wouldn't be surprised if we start to get some flood advisories and flash flood warnings. I'm going to put this in motion for you. You can kind of pick out how fast this thing has just been evolving. This is just the last 2 hours or so, 3 hours, and you can kind of see how this has been dropping in. It was cruising along through Michigan, 40, and then it was going 45, then 50, 55. Now it's the leading edge of this is moving 60 miles an hour as it's slamming in. All right, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued for Lake and Ashtabula counties and also that northern section of Geauga County. And I do want to query that because it came in with a different color of an outline, and I do believe that that means we have a tag on that one. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning, 313,000 people in this area alone under a severe thunderstorm warning right now. So that's Lake County, northern Geauga County, Ashtabula County. Meanwhile, Cuyahoga County remains under a severe thunderstorm warning right now. 1.85 million people under this particular warning, and this is the area where we're expecting the straight line fast winds to come in very quickly, and it is considerable. So that means we could have that potential of 70+ mile-per-hour winds. And then we also have that area farther to the west where we still have the severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect for Erie County as well as Huron County. Note the purple is gone, so we've lost the tornado warning now. So that threat, I wouldn't say it's gone. Like, don't think that that's, suddenly the purple's gone and magically everything is great. That is not how this works, because this is the type of a night where we can get things that kind of spin up very quickly. So wouldn't be surprised if we continue to have some pop-up tornado warnings here as we pass the midnight hour as this complex continues to drop in. You may be seeing these green areas too. So these are the warnings on the rivers. We have flood warnings and aerial warnings that are going on. The Mohican River was on the rise earlier today, and then also the Black River in Lorain County and the Huron River, the Vermilion River as well, all in flood at this point. So that's why these 3 boxes right there, you get the Huron River, the Vermilion, and the Black River. All of those are in flood warnings right now. And of course, the Mohican River as well down toward the Loudonville area with folks who are in campgrounds. Once the Mohican River, where the gauge is in Loudonville, once that gauge gets to about 11 feet, that's usually an indicator that they are going to start evacuating campgrounds in the area. We were at 8.5, close to 9 feet earlier. So definitely the rivers have been on the rise, and it was a sharp rise in the water throughout the night last night. And the rain that we got last night is still making its way into the rivers at this point. But now we're going to add even more rain to it as this complex continues to drop in. So the leading edge of the storm itself is coming through Huron right now. It is coming through Amherst, and it is also coming through Lorain and Elyria. So North Ridgeville, you would be next on this, and then also over into sections of Cuyahoga County. Bay Village getting this right now. Westlake, it's right on your doorstep. Rocky River, it is on your doorstep too. This will press south toward Olmsted Township, Olmsted Falls, and then even farther south toward Berea too, into portions of Strongsville, and then over toward North Royalton, Parma. It's coming very quickly for you, downtown Cleveland, right into Old Brooklyn. And then, of course, the east end of Cuyahoga County, we've had some new thunderstorms that have popped up there, but this very just wicked bow echo that continues to race across the lake will continue to produce some very high-speed winds as it does so. And then, of course, we have these newer thunderstorms. These are just starting, okay? This is all trying to work itself out. So we've started to see some decline in the intensity of the lightning of these thunderstorms as they've come across the lake, which is great news. But we're just starting to see the upgrowth of these thunderstorms here out to the east of greater Cleveland. So this is very much one of those situations where we have a lot going on and a lot unfolding all at the same time. And it's on a day where we have been dealing with incredible heat to the west of us and cool air to the northeast, and we are right on the battle zone of all of that, and we've been watching that through the evening. Matt, I would actually really love it if we could just kind of, what do you have?
Yeah, well, I'm watching some rotation just offshore, Bets.
Let's go with
I'm
that.
getting a little bit more concerned about this, and Weather Service calling it out as well. I've been watching this just develop over the last couple radar scans. There's a little rotation couplet out over the lake right now, all right? This is just offshore from Bay Village, just offshore from Lakewood, so it's out over the lake right now. It's this right here that I've got my eyes on. There's another one out here. The problem with that, I mean, it's a marine problem right now, but as we track this in, I mean, this would come right into downtown Cleveland here over the next probably 5 minutes or so. So it's got a track kind of like this. Not saying there's a tornado with that right now, but we need to be real careful with that, because if that tightens up anymore, or if that continues to evolve into a little bit stronger of a rotation, that would put it right into downtown Cleveland. So I know the National Weather Service has eyes on that right now. It's just north of Edgewater, just northeast of the Lakewood area. And again, you can kind of see that over the last couple scans. That's one of those kinks we're watching, and it is producing rotation. Betsy, I don't think we're done from there. There's several more out over the lake right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got this one right here. You've got another area up here. So anyone that's
new tornado warning, Matt. New tornado warning.
There you go. That's the one.
Let's go back over to Weather One, please. They put out a significant tornado warning, big one.
That's for all those. That's for all those.
Here we go. Everybody's phones are going off right now. So I'm sure your phones are going off too, and there's going to be a lot of new folks joining us. So we have a new tornado warning that has been issued for the downtown area of the city of Cleveland, as well as the near west side of downtown Cleveland. There is a look outside over First Energy Brown Stadium in downtown. So we may be able to catch some lightning strikes as this thing is coming in. Again, downtown Cleveland sitting right here. We're going out to Lakewood and Rocky River. So Rocky River right now in a tornado warning as well. As this line is moving in, not only Cleveland over toward Bracknell. Now we're going to watch. This camera is about to get real shaky here as this line moves in. But again, this tornado warning is now active for Cuyahoga County, for the western end of Geauga County, as well as Lake County, northern Summit County, and northwestern Portage County. So the National Weather Service just blanketing it. I'm listening.
Yeah, that's that wind hitting.
So, okay, we have some pipes, ventilation pipes in our ceiling here in the studio. And at a certain point, which I think is about 40 plus miles per hour, it sounds like somebody is blowing across a jug, and it is very loudly doing that right now in the studio. We've heard that come up. So here we go. We've got right on shore now the winds. This is the bow echo coming in that we've been telling you about, and there is the possibility we could have some swirlies in here. But from Euclid right through Bracknell, downtown Cleveland, this is coming now into the near west side, out around the West Side Market. We're going to see this coming through Ohio City and Tremont, straight over into the Lakewood area. Lakewood, I think the worst of that first initial burst of wind is by you, and then right down through areas of Parma. So Parma, it is coming right now. You're going to start to see this uptick in the wind. So now is the time to get into your safety spots. Garfield Heights, Cleveland Heights, and then you're going to go over into the rest of the Heights areas. Shaker Heights. We also get into Richmond Heights, and then down through portions of Woodmere, Mayfield Village. You folks should be getting into your safety spots. Willowick, Willoughby Hills, Willoughby, and then Waite Hill also getting in on that with that 91 corridor right here. So if you take 90 east and then you kind of do the little dip to get around on 271 to continue on 90, you're in it. We can really hear that wind here.
They say just on shore of Berkeley Airport right now, which is right here, there are so many kinks in that line.
Yeah.
I would treat this, I mean, there could be 3.
That's why they did the tornado warning for the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And there may be another one coming out for Lake County because there's more rotation coming in there. So if you're anywhere along the lakeshore, please get to a safe spot right now, and then this is going to head inland quickly.
Okay, so here you can see we have all of this wind that's just starting to come in right now. And the other part of this that is interesting to note is that you can start to see some different colors. Now, I don't want everybody to think that we've got this huge zone of reds and greens together. What's happening is we are turning the wind direction, because watch the beam. Notice that change of direction is exactly parallel to the beam. So what's happening is the radar is beginning to interpret the wind change. The winds are all going from northwest to southeast, but the difference is the radar beam is seeing it from a different direction. It's like a mirror image. So it's seeing it coming toward the radar this way, and this is going away from the radar. And everywhere where you see these little yellow dots, that's where we have the potential for swirl. That's where we have the potential for microburst. We have just a huge swath of wind that is cutting through the area right now. Rocky River and Lakewood, through Cleveland, downtown Cleveland, near east side of Cleveland, east side, out into all of our east side communities along 322, 422, along 90, going out into Lake County, all of Geauga County right now, all in tornado warning. So if you're just joining us right now, let's do a real quick reset, because everybody's phones went off, so you're probably waking up and going, what the heck, how come all this is happening? Well, we have a very large complex that has been crossing the lake. This came out of Michigan, and it continues to move to the southeast, and the leading edge of this complex has these areas where the winds are coming out, and we've got the possibility for some spin-up tornadoes. We've had damage that's been reported in western Ohio as that section of the storms came ashore and came through. And now as this continues to move off to the southeast, it looks like now we have those 2 warnings, as Matt was mentioning. There are 2 different warnings because I can see a line there. Well, actually, that's just crossing over the severe thunderstorm warning. Okay, so there is our tornado warning. It goes from just west of downtown Cleveland, so probably Fairview Park, Rocky River area, through Lakewood, right down through Macedonia into Aurora and Streetsboro, and then on down to central sections of Portage County. I think Ravenna is out of this at this point, but then western Trumbull County is in it. We also are clipping into the southwestern corner of Ashtabula County, and then most of Geauga County is in this at this point. From Middlefield, Chardon is in it, as well as down in the Newberry area and Chesterland, Chagrin Falls. All these areas are currently in a tornado warning as this intense line of wind moves to the southeast, with the possibility of these little spin-ups that are taking place at the same time. There's a look at Fairport Harbor. Not really too worried about Fairport Harbor at this point. They are not in the tornado warning, so let's kind of stay here with Weather 1 if we could in downtown Cleveland. We still have a lot of wind to go. Avon Lake, you may have been through the initial push of the big wind, but there is still a whole huge wind field that is just beginning to fill in. This is not going to be a quick wind gust. This is going to be an uptick in the wind speed, and then the winds will hold at a very good clip from northwest to southeast.
Hey, Bets.
Yep.
Can you, if you could zoom in on that, there are a couple pockets. So the whole problem with this line right now, there's not a guaranteed tornado along this entire line. There are a bunch of little chunks within this that are producing real strong winds. Bets, that's exactly it.
Yeah, this one.
Right over Cleveland Heights right now, heading into South Euclid, eventually into Lyndhurst, there is a little pocket of absolutely damaging winds heading towards your area. And then, as Betsy was pointing out, just east of Euclid, heading towards Wickliffe and Willoughby Hills, Also, another one heading into the Menor area. So all those pockets could have a spin-up tornado with it. And the other thing, Betsy, we all noticed when this went through, I don't know about you, our ears are popping. There's definitely a pressure difference as this went through. It's noticeable.
Yeah, it definitely adds to kind of the, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Your body can sense all these changes that are going on. I know that I'm tracking, this into specific areas, but please just know we have a blanket tornado warning that covers not only these towns, but areas around there. This is for one of these particular pockets that's showing enhanced chances of circulation and big wind gusts coming out of it right now in South Euclid, through Moreland Hills and Chester Township, Chesterland area, Auburn Township, Huntsburg is in this too, and that's going to go right down toward Parkman and Middlefield. That is just one of the areas that we are watching. Also, this area that is just west of Menor right now, as this continues to move to the southeast at about 55 miles per hour or so highway speed. Menor, Chardon, Burton, there's Middlefield again, and then Mesopotamia. Now we're crossing over into western sections of Ashtabula County and northwestern portions of Trumbull County as well. But anywhere where you see these little kinks and these little dots of yellow, that's where we could really see just it's so subtle, it's tricky. This is a totally different situation than a supercell thunderstorm and the big bad tornadoes that you see out in the plain states or that we occasionally get here in Ohio. These are very small spin-ups that may or may not actually be touching the ground at this point, but they are definitely showing up on the radar as these circulations that can cause some damage. We get these big wind gusts out of them.
Hey, Bets.
Yep.
Burke just measured a 75-mile-per-hour wind.
That was the wind that came through here.
Neil just got back in here, said the wind was insane. And that's the problem with this. Tornado warning or not, you're going to have wind damage from this, especially this line as it's really gained some wind energy. And that stretches from western Lake County right now. This is the worst of the wind. I know we've got the tornado warning out in Geauga and northern Portage County. The worst part of the storm isn't there yet. It's this portion right here. See that initial line as it moves in? That's where we're seeing some really intense wind that's developed on the leading edge of heavy rain. So that's the part that we need to watch. So right now you don't have much wind at all in Perry or Painesville, North Madison, but it's in Menor right now. You're seeing some very strong winds out towards the heights, as Betsy mentioned, Mayfield Heights down towards Pepper Pike, getting into Orange right now. This will be approaching Chagrin Falls in the Solon area, tracking along 422 here in the next couple minutes, and then it stretches down near the Brecksville area, including areas of southern Cuyahoga County. It's this area of this storm that we continue to watch. Even for you down in North Royalton, you're about to get some very strong winds with this as well. So this entire line has this burst of strong winds on the leading edge, and that's the reason for their tornado warning. There's not a guaranteed or a real good signature of a tornado within this, but there is the possibility that any portion of this line right here as this advances out towards the east could spin up a tornado. But I urge you to not worry about tornado or not, all right? There is wind damage coming with this. It's going to look like, for some communities, like a tornado went through, all right? There's some serious wind. 60 to 70 to 80 mile per hour wind is nothing to mess around with as this moves out towards the east. So if you're in advance of this, if you're in Geauga County, if you're in Ashtabula County, Trumbull County, Portage County, make sure you're charging your cell phone right now. Make sure you are planned for a power outage with this, whatever that happens to be, and you want to get to your safe place with this because this is packing a punch. Trees, I'm sure, are going to be down from this as this continues out towards the east side of Cuyahoga County and into Lake County, and this is going to produce some damage. If you're in Cleveland or out towards the western half of Cuyahoga County, you're fine, all right? The severe portion is already through you. We've got heavy rain and some lightning from here on out. Lorain County, most of the counties out of this right now. Erie, Huron County, your severe weather threat is over, all right? You can go to bed. I know we had some big storms that rolled through, but your severe threat's done from that. It's really this eastern flank of this storm as this continues out towards the east. Right in this line like this is what we're watching as that continues to advance east with wind damage and the potential to produce a tornado.
4,000 without power right now in Lorain County. So that's the kind of damage that we can get, happening very quickly. So we're having power outages already taking place, and this thing is just coming on shore right now for a big part of the area. So, tornado warnings we obviously take very seriously, but as Matt mentioned, it's not about tornado versus straight line. It's just wind, and it's a threat to you, your family, your house, your property, and we want you to be advised of it, of course, and we're trying to give you the most detailed information that we can. So anywhere where you start to see that really bright pink that kind of changes into that yellow white, that's where we are kind of keeping a close eye out for the possibility of anything to spin up. But we just have a whole lot of straight line wind moving through the area right now too. I'm just kind of checking out different sources of. Sorry, I'm typing and talking at the same time. That doesn't always work, but obviously there we go. Okay, I'm just trying to get an update on these power outages as they're coming in. It's a good point to make when we get these power outages, which I think we're going to start to see these numbers jumping very quickly as this line comes through. And again, we've had a 75-mile-per-hour wind gust clocked, an actual measured 75-mile-per-hour wind gust. That's hurricane force wind in downtown Cleveland at Burke Lakefront Airport, just a stone's throw from us here at Channel 3. We heard the wind coming through, and I'm sure you too are hearing that wind coming through. Notice right on the leading edge of this, that's where the brightest pinks are, and that's also where we are seeing those the whites as well, and that's where we get the swirl potential coming in. So this is our core of very high-speed wind. You get that initial push of wind, it's going to go up and it's going to hold, and it's just going to start to very slowly back off. But we have a very windy evening for the rest of the night because we're continuing to have these higher speed winds that are coming in off of the lake too. So that push is going to continue with us. Farther to the southwest, that leading edge, that gust is coming through portions of northern Medina County. We still have severe thunderstorm warnings here. We also have severe thunderstorm warnings in Lorain County, Wellington right now, out by the Lorain County Fair area. They still have very high winds. They have a whole lot of rain that's coming down. Of course, we had the flooding there yesterday. Neil Fisher was out there earlier. And then down into Ashland County and Richland County, that leading edge of that cell is starting to move inland. We are starting to also see up in here in eastern portions of Lake County, northern Geauga County, and western Ashtabula County, where we're going to start to transition from the thunderstorm that popped up a little bit earlier. Now there's a new tornado warning that's coming out.
Northern
Lake County,
Ashland, southern Medina now.
Okay, so we've got multiple tornado warnings coming out at the same time. There's also one for Lake County and Geauga County that is coming out, and Ashtabula County. So if we come back over to weather, there we go. I appreciate that. Let's just pop this over here to the alerts. Matt's going to keep an eye on the actual wind speeds there, the velocities. Okay. So here we go. We're doing a reset. Our tornado warning in Cuyahoga County has been trimmed to the eastern end of Cuyahoga County. So downtown Cleveland, we're out of the warning right now. Euclid, you're out of the warning. Parma, you're out of the warning. Solon, you are very much still in this, as well as Chagrin Falls, Pepper Pike, right up through Mayfield Village. Farther north, Lake County, from Paynesville all the way through Ashtabula. Kingsville, you are out of this at this point, but we're getting kind of close to Andover over here. We do have a tornado warning that is also in effect there. This is the northern end of that bow echo that's going to continue to move to the east. So that includes Chardon, Thompson, and then into the Orwell area, as well as the city of Ashtabula. Jefferson, you are also in this. Geneva on the lake. Farther south, we have a new tornado warning that has also been issued in extreme southern Lorain County, western Medina County, northern Ashland County, and much of Wayne County. This includes very far southern portions of Lorain County. I think this is even south of Rochester at this point, but down through Lodi, farther west toward Bailey Lakes, Nova. The city of Ashland is not in this, but Mifflin may be. And then you move over toward the Worcester area. Creston is in here. So we definitely have a lot that is happening with this line that continues to move to the south. And it is the line that has been producing not only the very heavy rains, but we have also been dealing with the possibility of these tornadoes as this wind push is coming in. Matt, you have another view of what's going on with the velocities?
I do. There's really two separate parts of this line that we continue to track. There's a portion that's going to affect Ashtabula County that stretches into Geauga County, southern Cuyahoga, northern Summit, and Portage County. I know that's a lot of counties right now, but that's this incredible wind energy that we have, all right? I know it's late at night. I know a lot of you are up wondering what's going on, all right? A lot of you have kids right now. Do you wake them up? Do you take them somewhere safe? If you are in the path of this storm and under that tornado warning, my recommendation, even as a parent who doesn't want to have your kids grumpy in the morning and doesn't want to have everyone tired, I would wake them up and get down to the basement or get to an interior room right now. There's not a guaranteed tornado for everyone out of this, all right? But the wind energy with us, we're consistently seeing 70 to 80 mile per hour winds with this batch of the line right here. And you notice it is now has a longer appendage down towards the south, and it's now heading into areas of northern Summit County. All right, that continues to advance out to east. All these areas that you see right here in the yellow and that tan shading, that's where we're seeing those peak winds that have developed around 70 to 80 miles per hour. So Twinsburg right now, you're in it. Aurora, please get to your safe place. Reminderville, Bainbridge, you need to be in your safe place. That'll head out towards Auburn. Chesterland, Russell Township, you just got hit. That'll head towards Newberry. Burton eventually out towards Clarendon. Munson's in a very strong wind gust right now. I mean, this is capable of bringing trees down very easily, including power lines. Winds not quite as strong, but still on the severe side up in areas of Lake County. That will cross into Thompson, North Madison, Madison itself, eventually Geneva, all right? So that's tornado warning number one. Tornado warning number two is a little bit different. We've got stronger winds pushing south with this one for you folks in Ashland County and extreme western Medina County. But what we're watching with this are those kinks in that line, all right? And these could have quick spin up tornadoes. There's one to watch right there. Just to the west of Lodi. That'll be approaching Lodi, probably another 5 minutes or so. There's another one right here near Sullivan. That's the reason for the warning with that. These are heading down towards the south and the east. So best advice I can say right now is if you're in a tornado warning, get to your safe place. I know it's a pain to get the kids out of bed. Maybe you're the wife at home and it's a pain to get your husband downstairs. Whatever it happens to be, these storms are packing a punch. They've had a history of incredible winds. There's lots of damage, a ton of power outages coming out of this. So tornado or not, you're going to experience some damage if you're in these tornado warned areas just from the wind alone. Betsy.
Right, and we are continuing our coverage here on air. If you are going to head to the basement, you have options. We are streaming, and then you, of course, also have the option to just turn the TV up really loud, and you can just listen to us. We're going to get you through this. We're going to talk you through it. We deal with severe weather pretty often here in Northeast Ohio, and this has definitely been kind of a summer to remember as far as that goes. So as our line is getting a little bit farther away from the radar, we're seeing what's going on in the storm just a little bit higher off the ground, and we are still picking up all of these wind surges. So just kind of think of this as, when you're using the shovel in the wintertime, not to make a snow reference in the middle of summer, but you have the big shovel out, right? And you're just shoveling a big broad path. And then every now and then you take that shovel and you just kind of flick it down in there to scoop it off and try and get that ice off. This is the chipping. So we've got the general shove of the wind coming through, and then this is a little chip of the wind, an extra power, extra blast of wind that will be coming through. And you can kind of see how that dots the line here. So we've got a lot of chipping that's taking place, and it's going to possibly cause some damage. The power outages are still being reported at this point farther to the west. I would make the assumption that we will have some power outages, which is another reason why it's really great to have your phone with you as you are going, and you can continue to receive those warnings and, of course, see what the latest is, and we are streaming too. So this little kink down here, this is coming through northern portions of Ashland County. Power outage map is coming up. Let's hold on that just a minute. I'll bring that up in just a second. So there's this little kink right here in Ashland County. There's a tiny little kink that's coming into Lodi right now. And this will continue to move off to the southeast toward Westfield Village. So those folks need to get into cover. And then northwestern portions of Wayne County, you have it coming at you next. And then we get into this broader line where we have these little chips, and everywhere where there's that little extra power surge of the wind, that's where we may also see some swirls that are taking place. This will continue to move through Geauga County. It's coming into the Middlefield area, coming into Burton, and then we're also down into Portage County. Aurora is in this, as well as Streetsboro, and then right over toward Champion and central sections of Trumbull County. So that's a pretty big hit that's going to be coming through the big swath of big wind as that line moves in. Likewise, northern sections of Summit County, we have a pretty hefty amount of wind that is coming through there. there as we're getting big rumbles of thunder downtown Cleveland. We do have the wind that is coming through Peninsula and Richfield right now, Cuyahoga Falls. This is right on your doorstep, and then over into the Stowe area very soon. Silver Lake, you're in there too. Downtown Akron, you got about 5 to 10 minutes before this gets here, as well as the city of Kent. So it is just imminent to come into the Stowe-Kent area. And of course, Streetsboro is just now getting it as well. And then farther north into portions of Lake County and then over into Ashtabula County. Notice we have this green here. And I think that's probably where we kind of have a more broad rotation, one of those bookend vortices I told you about just a little bit ago. We have the big push of wind that's coming south here, and then you can kind of get that wind that curls around off the edge of that. And so that is something that obviously the National Weather Service is keeping an eye on and put out that additional tornado warning. So we have 3 active tornado warnings in northern Ohio right now. I'm also keeping an eye on the wind. Once the initial push goes through, we still have very gusty wind that is going on. And there's a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued as the line continues to move to the southeast. You know, sometimes as meteorologists, we laugh because our Weather Service office will put out 6 counties at a time. There's a huge thunderstorm warning that's going through. In this case, it works because, I mean, everybody's going to be getting this. It's a line that's coming through. So that does include now the rest of Summit County, downtown Akron, over into portions of Greene Township, Portage Lakes, Norton and Barberton, Copley, Bath. And then you move over into southern portions of Portage County too, down in the Uniontown area. And then we have this as well. This is downtown Akron. This is our camera in downtown Akron. That's a beautiful picture looking up. That looks like Main Street. Yes, because Canal Park is on the left. So that is Main Street. So we're looking north at this point over the valley up toward Cuyahoga Falls. And you're kind of looking up to where that lightning is. And that lightning is right here in the central part of the county, right on that line as it is coming in. So just a beautiful picture of downtown Akron. Folks still milling around, but I'm sure that they're going to start to seek shelter here very quickly. Also, just starting to see a little kink developing right here, right around Cuyahoga Falls and the Stowe area. So that is something I'm sure the National Weather Service will be watching as well. Matt, this is one of the situations that, you know, we have been preparing for through the day. We told you yesterday we'd have another round. This is it, though.
Yeah.
Things are going to settle down. So that's kind of the nice thing that I have to offer to everybody tonight. Once this line goes through, we have a much, much calmer forecast starting tomorrow. But the problem is we have to get this line through here. And it is racing through, but it's also packing quite a punch as it races through. This is the price we pay to have nice weather, because as we all know in Northeast Ohio, we can't have nice things, right? Okay. Well, there is the lightning. There is where the most robust lightning growth has been. These are all new thunderstorms, okay? This complex that's farther to the west is an older thunderstorm that's still trying to survive at this point. So it looks like we have a little bit of an energy shift going on. Additionally, we have thunderstorms downstream in Pennsylvania, but we're not really going to focus on those so much. I think that's going to help to steal the thunder from these, so to speak. But we do have quite a lot going on here in eastern portions of Lake County, where we also have that tornado warning at this point too, don't forget. And then we also are going to carry that over into Ashtabula County. Matt, that is your pride and joy up there in Ashtabula County. You want to take us through some of the places up there impacted?
Yeah, I usually do this at 11. Can I put some people to sleep right now? I don't want to put it that way. Downtown Cleveland right now, you're out of the severe threat. All right, go to bed. I know it's a late night. Cuyahoga County is clear as well. That tornado warning's been dropped. Lorain County, Erie, Huron, you get it. All right, those areas are in the clear in terms of severe weather. It's this leading edge that we continue to watch out towards the east. So yes, we'll get into Ashtabula County right now. You are under a tornado warning. We'll hit these east side tornado warnings first. And I want to get back to velocity, because this tells such a crucial story. There's not a ton of rotation, at least in terms of a tornadic nature, heading into Ashtabula County right now. The problem with this is we have very strong winds still, and they really pick up where you see these brighter colors that Betsy and I have been alluding to. So the southern half of the county looks to get hit the hardest right now. That comes in near Hartsgrove. This will affect Orwell along 322. This will head from west to east through the county. Jefferson, Lenox, New Lyme, you're going to be on the southern fringe of this. I don't want us to let our guard down as we get up into Geneva, Ashtabula, Dorset, Kingsville. But overall, I think the biggest threat in Ashtabula County is going to be the southern half of the county as of right now. Everyone needs to be in a safe place. As we get further to the south, though, Middlefield getting hit hard right now with very strong winds. Huntsburg, you know what we're going through right now. This is heading into northern Trumbull County. These pockets of tan or yellow that you see on there, that indicates that we're picking up anywhere from 65 to 80 mile per hour winds just above the surface. We are getting a little further away from the radar, but given the history of this wind is packing a punch in those locations.
Matt,
go ahead.
Just an update, Chardon Fire Department tweeting out tree down on house with structural damage. That is in Munson Township. So
right here.
There is a large amount of debris on Auburn Road as well. So that's
Makes sense.
Chardon Fire Department reporting that.
And I travel that area quite frequently, Auburn Road. A lot of stop signs on that road, but also lots of trees covering that road. There's some nice canopies over that. So I would imagine we're going to have a lot more reports like that, Betts, as we go throughout the rest of the evening. Portage County, you're under the gun right now. Shalersville, this cell with a very strong wind. Again, this is our concern with this, is the damaging wind on the leading edge that's heading through the northern part of the county right now. It didn't look like Ravenna was going to get hit earlier, but I've been watching, and Betsy's been talking about how the bottom flank of this right here in Summit County and southwestern areas of Portage County has really flared up. So you're under just as much of a threat right now. And Betsy, you mentioned this earlier, and I've got my eyes on this closely.
Yeah.
Little pocket heading into Kent right now. I know you're not officially under a tornado warning in Kent, but we need to make sure that we are taking this storm seriously. I would get in my safe place if you're in Kent, out towards the Brady Lake, Brimfield, even Talmadge. There's an area of very strong winds moving in, and there's some rotation with that. Given the history, how this line's done that in the past, they've issued a tornado warning. I would treat it like that. And then finally, Akron, you're getting into it. Cuyahoga Falls getting hit right now back towards your neck of the woods. I'll let you take over from there for the Copley area. But Akron and areas down to the south towards Portage Lakes and Coventry, this strong wind is pushing your way as well.
Yeah, that wind coming through Copley is definitely going to make itself known, going right into the west end of Akron, out around Bookville High School, and then into the Kenmore area too. So Copley, Norton, over into West Akron, Fairlawn Heights, and then straight down into Kenmore, south end of downtown Akron, Barberton getting in on that, and then Portage Lakes too. We got a lot of big trees in Portage Lakes, and of course, folks are kind of, hopefully mobilizing at this point. We'll get another wind reading from the airport, Akron-Canton Airport, Akron-Fulton Airport. Both are down just on the south end of Akron. So we should get a report from the National Weather Service on that and see what's going on. So our most robust thunderstorm continues to be this larger area that is cutting across portions of Lake County, eastern Lake County, extreme eastern Geauga County, and moving into Ashtabula County and western Trumbull County. Checking in on Twitter, and folks have been, hitting me with what their experience has been. I've seen numerous people saying the winds were howling as this line came through, and that goes all the way back into downtown Cleveland and Cleveland Heights and areas on the east side of Cleveland. That is the line that is right now still tornado warned at this point, that is along the border between Lake Ashtabula and Geauga counties down through Portage County. Farther to the west, this is where things are starting to get a little bit stretched out, a little bit elongated, so we're probably getting some little swirls that have been popping up here as well, and that is right along this leading edge. Now, if we're just looking at colors, right, so I told you, if you've been with us for a while now, patterns are a very big deal to meteorologists. We always look for the way things look, how in relation to, two things are we seeing bright colors, or are we seeing dark colors? Which direction are they going? What color is it? By and large, the brightest colors we are seeing are on the leading edge of this line. So this is where our biggest threat is. This is where we have been telling you, this is where we've been focused from Middlefield and southeast Geauga County through Portage County, Ravenna. It's coming through right now. West Branch State Park, we've got folks there. If you're not in a safety spot, and I know it sounds weird, but the restrooms are pretty well built. They build them out of cinder block for a reason. So that would probably be the place to go. I would not ride this one out in a camper if I were you. That would be really dangerous, and Lord help you if you have a tent. but then farther to the west into the Kent area, as mentioned by Matt, and then, of course, into downtown Akron, too. This is going to continue to move to the southeast, so we're going to start to head down toward Brimfield, Uniontown, eventually into Stark County. We haven't really mentioned Stark County as of yet. You still have about 10 to 15 minutes probably until this thing gets to you. And of course, it's going to be coming from north to south. So Hartville, Marlboro Township area, right down through Louisville, Canton. And then especially, I would say, on the eastern end of Stark County, the western end, not as bad of a wind burst that's going to be coming through, but we have quite a bit of wind coming in. Look what's going on here in Richfield and Peninsula, too, on the northwest and northern sections of Summit County. This is coming through Cuyahoga Falls. Now, you know what we have here, Cuyahoga Falls National Park. Trees, lots and lots and lots of trees. And that is going to continue to move to the southeast and cause a whole lot of problems there. Starting to hear the wind picking up here in downtown Cleveland. Notice we've got this bright color blue here, and that is an indication of the wind coming into the radar. So that's our bright colors, and I have a feeling we've got some gusty winds that are still ongoing. I've been watching the Lorain Airport readings that have been coming out, the observations, and they had the big burst of wind that went through, and then things kind of settled down, but the settled down wind is still 45-mile-an-hour wind gusts, so it's still pretty significant. We're probably going to be rocking and rolling here for a little while. The camera over downtown Cleveland showing that we have gotten a little bit of a break here in downtown Cleveland, but you can see it's still moving. We've got some wind gusts that are still coming through, most certainly. All right, back here onto the maps, we are watching our areas where we're seeing the brightest colors. Portage County right now in northern Summit County. I'm going to zoom in there because that is pretty significant, and that's actually it's actually getting worse rather than better.
That, and if you want to touch on just southwest of Akron, I think they should have a tornado warning out on that. The Norton area and Barberton right now.
Barberton.
There's
that's coming into Portage Lakes right now.
Right.
So yeah, see this little area right here where there's winds back up and then it drops. That's a sign. So Wadsworth sits right here in southeastern portions of Medina County. You cross the border over into the Barberton area, and then Norton is in here as well. And then you go right over into Kenmore, Arlington Road area on the south end of Akron. And then farther south toward Greene, you folks are going to be getting in on this too. But if this continues on this current path, it's going to drop to the south. So big heads up for Portage Lakes right now, Firestone Country Club area, if you're not familiar, and then that's going to head right down toward Greene, and then eventually cross over toward Jackson Township in the north end of Stark County right there. I bet we're going to get a new tornado warning coming.
I'm not seeing any talk from them, but I'll tell you, we need to treat that like a tornado warning for those communities you just mentioned.
Yeah, that's a pretty significant thing. Let's get a little bit closer in on that, and then we'll head up toward a portion. So there's Barberton, all right? So 76 comes in here. I-77 is coming down here, so we are right in the interchange, the Kenmore leg of the highway here, and then 76 continues east before it continues out toward Talmadge, and then you have 77 that drops south toward Greene. Akron-Canton Airport sits right down in here in the southeast corner of Summit County. This area here is definitely rocking with some big winds, and this is going to continue to drop south. So Arlington Road area of Akron, south end of Akron, Kenmore, you folks probably should be getting into your safety spots right now. We're really zoomed in now, and I don't typically like to get too close at this point because I don't want anybody to think that they are excluded, but we definitely have some indications where we have some high winds coming in. There's Firestone Park Stadium, the Green Village Skilled Nursing and Rehabilitation Center is down here, Turkey Foot Beach, Coventry Township is in here too, and then of course there's Arlington Road right here. So if you ever drive south from Akron to Canton, you come right past this Arlington Road exit, which is a huge exit. There's all kinds of car dealerships and strip malls and all that stuff that goes through here. What's that?
That's always my stop for gas on a road trip.
We have our landmarks too, like everybody else does. There's a look at downtown Akron. It's a little bit different picture than what we saw not too long ago. Definitely the rain is coming down right now. The wind is probably beginning to gust as well. But downtown Akron is right here. That highest wind gust is south of downtown Akron that is now headed into Coventry Township too. Lake Township. Here's Lake Moore over here here. Suffield Township, which is over into Portage County. Lake Township, Hartville area. This is coming your way too. But I would have to say right now, Portage Lakes, you folks need to be into your safety spots. We're probably, I think we're probably going to see it. I mean, it's pretty evident. Obviously, National Weather Service is on it. They are watching things very closely. But we also have these very high-speed winds that are on the radar right now, going through portions of Windham. You saw it back there into West Branch State Park area, east of Ravenna. Randolph, it's coming through there right now. So Palmyra, this is coming your way. Deerfield, it's coming your way. Alliance, it is also coming your way. If you are still up with us this evening, thank you for staying with us. Thanks for trusting us. We take it very seriously. And we're trying to keep everybody apprised all at once. Trumbull County, we've got a pretty big wind surge that's coming through the north end of Trumbull County at this point too. And that is going to head over Mosquito Creek here, not too long a time. So there, again, that's another area where we have a lot of folks that have lake homes and whatnot. Coming into the Cortland area, I think it's going to stay north of Warren, at least this particular part of the thunderstorm. It's going to be more toward the Cortland area, headed over toward Vienna, and then eventually Kinsman too, before moving out into Pennsylvania, where it becomes another state's issue and more of the Youngstown and Pittsburgh viewing area. But then look at this huge wind surge that's just continuing to cut across the areas of Portage County. Then farther south and west, let's get back into portions here. Look at Doylestown getting in on this right now. Rittman and Creston, Seville, you are in here where we have this severe thunderstorm warning that keeps going on. And I don't want to forget our friends that are over here in Wayne County. We do have a little swirl that is just west of Worcester at this point that is going to continue to move to the southeast. And that one is probably going to miss Worcester itself if we don't see this issued any further at this point. But it's headed a little bit more towards Salt Creek, so it's coming down 250, just essentially along and south of US 250, definitely south of 30. So the south end of Wayne County, we're probably going to start to see this being impacted here with this particular part of the swirl. Then farther east, so Doylestown sits up in here. Rittman is just to the west of that. Then you get down into Smithville and Orville. This part of this storm, which I would be concerned right here on this particular storm that's going to head over toward Route 21, which connects Copley and Maslin here. This is going to come right down into Lawrence Township, Canal Fulton area as it's moving then into Maslin and Perry. And you can kind of see how wavy this gets. So you can kind of imagine all the wind is fighting to get ahead. And so there's, you know, it's going to continue to be a pretty fluid situation. If you've ever poured water down like a cutting board, you know it doesn't exactly go in an exactly, you know, perfect straight line down the cutting board. It kind of smoothly goes down, and you can see little ripples and kinks in that as it's moving across. That's exactly what's going here. We've got this line that is trying to slide across. In some areas, it can get across a little bit easier than others. And anytime we have one section that is speeding up and another section that begins to slow down, that's where we get that potential for some rotation. Matt, we're really starting to see this broad swath of wind now taking over. Mm-hmm. And we are getting now through Portage Lakes. So Portage Lakes, you've got a big gust of wind that's coming through right now. It'll start to back down here in about 15 minutes or so, but it's going to be with you for a minute. Down into Greene Township, Greene, the city of Greene, and then also, of course, Akron-Canton Airport area before it heads over into Lake Township and Hartville in the north end of Stark County and Jackson Township too. And then the city of Canton, of course, is sitting right in the middle of that area. Portage County is getting rocked right now with some pretty big wind gusts and, of course, the heavy rain that continues to come down. Nicely seeing the winds backing down a little bit for Lorain County, Cuyahoga County too. And if we put just the alerts on here, just to keep everybody kind of updated on what's going on with that.
That's that Trumbull County storm as you're looking at it here. It's severe thunderstorm warning, but it's got destructive tag with it. Winds
That's the purple outline.
Right, winds to 80 with that.
Yeah.
I want to touch on the Ashtabula County tornado warning. You've got a couple more minutes on that.
Take two.
I don't see a threat in Ashtabula County right now. Strong winds, yes. Good. It's lighting up like a Christmas tree. They have more lightning in Ashtabula County than any other county right now, but the severe tornado threat that we've been watching appears to be low for them. And then
look at the lightning.
Right. And then one more, it's incredible.
Ow.
And everyone's seeing that. If the storm's already moved through, you're seeing the lightning in Ashtabula and Trumbull County. And then one more thing for you, Bets. Kent right now, storm spotter, after that storm moved through, Kent's fine right now, but earlier as that storm moved through, 80-mile-per-hour wind. They heard tree limbs snapping everywhere. So that's going to be a local storm report here shortly.
410 lightning strikes just within this particular cell in the last 15 minutes. That's gone up over the last little bit. So definitely seeing some things going there.
That Trumbull storm is a mess right now.
It is a big one, and that's what we've been watching. So the National Weather Service is trying to kind of pinpoint things. You know, they're not going to issue a big giant tornado warning because, of course, people know that tornado warnings are not big giant. But they do have this tool that they can use a severe thunderstorm warning, and then they add a tag to it, and that's what the purple outline is here of this severe thunderstorm warning. So it's in Orange County with a purple line. That is what's known as a considerable tag, a destructive tag, and it's this brown area right here that is their area of concern, and the radar is estimating some pretty significant winds now moving just east of Windham. This is going to move just south of the city of Warren. 84-mile-per-hour winds on radar with this as this continues to move southeast. We know this has caused damage. So if you are in southern portions of Trumbull County, you're hearing the wind pickup. I'm going to just throw it out there. You do not have to have a tornado warning to go to the basement. If you feel threatened, if you feel like you would be safer in the interior-most part of your house, or you want to go to the basement, you do you. You don't have to be told by anybody else what you can and can't do. So if you want to be safe, you want to get into your safety spot, do it. That's going to continue to move right down into the city of Youngstown. So our Youngstown friends, WKBN, I believe, is the call letters of the NBC affiliate there. They are likely on the air as well. So we get that initial burst of wind. You can see now it's down to 67. So that's that gust that comes through. And it's the gusts that are really damaging to trees, especially because the trees, you know, with the way that they are manufactured by nature, God bless them, once that wind gust comes through, that initial snap is like a slap to them, and they just can't react quick enough, and they don't bend so well sometimes in those situations. So we do have this destructive severe thunderstorm warning that is now encompassing the southern end of Trumbull County and much of Mahoning County as well. That does include the city of Youngstown. We still have some pretty darn high winds that are moving through Summit County right now and Portage County as well. This is headed your way, Stark County. You're just now getting into it in portions of Marlboro Township, Randolph down into Hartville. This is going to go right through Jackson Township. Canton, Louisville is going to get into this, as well as Alliance right here on 62. So I'd have to give the heads up to anybody that is north of 30 in Stark County. You folks need to get, just be aware. You've got some very high-speed wind potential coming through. It could be damaging. And I imagine that a lot of folks don't care exactly if it's a certain type of warning or not when a tree comes down on your house or you have some kind of damage that happens on your property. But definitely this is something to take very seriously, because once it comes through with the initial push, you still have quite a bit of wind to go. That's going to keep things moving rather quickly, and unfortunately that duration of high wind can also be very destructive. Farther to the west into Worcester, this line is cutting south. We're still seeing some swirls here, still seeing some kinks, but I'm not seeing anything that's particularly destructive out of this. That being said, oftentimes here in Wayne County, and once we get down into portions of Holmes County, we can pretty much say that a lot of the fine tuning of something like a tornado or a very low surface feature that we would need to be looking at is under the radar beam. So we're kind of watching the big picture from above to see and try and figure out what is going on below. And you can definitely see we do have these little kinks on this line, and anywhere there's a kink, that's where we have the potential for spin, and that continues to move through Wayne County at this point. I don't want to leave my Richland County fam out, because we do have a lot of folks down in Mansfield, Shelby, Ontario that watch us, down into Belleville, also into Ashland County and down farther south into Loudonville, of course, Mohican State Park there. A lot of folks love Mohican. You can see we've got some thunderstorms coming through. This does not look particularly severe at this point. You're kind of on the tail end of this complex that has been coming through this evening, and it looks like this part of this line is beginning to die back, which is phenomenal news. and hopefully that will continue to be the case. However, it's the opposite story farther to the east into portions of Ashtabula County and then into Trumbull County. This is by and large the storm right now, the storm that we're going to keep an eye on as it continues to move eastward through Ashtabula and Trumbull counties. Matt, you want to take over on the track of that one?
Well, absolutely. We've got 124,000 people without power, First Energy customers. Remember, customers means a family, so you multiply that by 3, 4, even 5, and we're talking a lot of people without power. So you see there, 124 right now. That number's just going to shoot up. I mean, there's a guarantee that that number's just going to continue to get higher.
We have 44,071 in Cuyahoga County alone. 44,000 in Cuyahoga County. Kelly, I think you're the one in the booth running this. If you click on outages by county on the left, that will pull the list up. This is where I get these numbers, everybody. This is available to anybody, by the way.
You can sort it too if you sort it up at the top.
There's Cuyahoga County, 44,071 without power right now. Erie County still at 3,146. Geauga County, 11,153. Look at Lake County, 30,361 without power right now. That is almost a quarter. That is a quarter of Lake County is without power right now. Lorain County, 14,808. And then scrolling farther down, we get into Portage County, 3,700 without power. Summit County, 1,600 without power. And these numbers are not going to go down. These are going to go up. So the power crews are going to be out. They're going to do their best. But this is where if you have to get up in the morning, use your phone for the alarm. Don't use, your alarm clock. Don't rely on Alexa because she is plugged in too. Don't forget that. So you want to disconnect your phone and use your phone to wake you up in the morning. But that's pretty significant when we start to see, a quarter of a county without power. And again, this is continuously updated. It's updated every 5 or 10 minutes or so. And these numbers have been jumping, and they're jumping pretty quickly as the evening goes on. So this is our area of greatest concern, Ashtabula, Trumbull County. Matt, I'm going to check this over to you because I think, this is your home stomping grounds and you've got a really good read on what's going on out there.
Yeah, let's dive into that. I want to give big picture real quick. And Bets, you can agree or analyze this with me, but the southern end of that looks like it's becoming outflow driven. So basically, that push of energy that you got that produced all that strong wind with this entire line, it's starting to stretch out a little bit. So the energy is getting divided with it. So that's good news for our southern folks. That's you in Richland, Ashland, Wayne County, Holmes County, Tuscarawas County. Strong winds, yes. Still severe risk, yes. But that chance is getting less and less.
A lot of rain, too.
Lots of rain for sure. Yeah, but Bets, to your point, the most energy, and you can just see it here as you watch this line, the most energy and the most compact portion of this storm is ripping through Ashtabula and especially Trumbull County right now in Mahoning County. So you get in the Youngstown area as that line continues to push in. So I want to get in on the wind here again. Let's go back to velocity so we can look at wind within that storm. And it's an initial hit of wind. I mean, we're still talking likely 70 to 80 mile per hour winds in spots. Not everyone's going to see it, but there's a big push of that strong wind with this initial hit. Now just went through the Kinsman area. I have an old science teacher that's from Kinsman. He was such a hoot. I hope he's in a safe place right now. Heading down towards Vienna, Weathersfield. This is right over Route 11 right now, which runs north and south out of Ashtabula County into Trumbull County, eventually getting into Youngstown. 80 there, about to get impacted by some real strong winds just north of Austintown. Youngstown's outside of our viewing area. I've got family there. You probably have friends and family there, and I know they can pick up our signal every now and then. You've got real strong winds getting ready to head into Youngstown here in the next 5 or 10 minutes, likely on the order of 60, 70, maybe even 80. Girard's seeing that right now. That stretches down into Ellsworth, which is just outside the viewing area. Notice the strong wind heading into Louisville right now. And Alliance, that's the southern flank of that band. Again, winds are really going to ramp up. You've got the lightning around as well, in addition to heavy rain, but it's the wind that we're concerned with this, as it's had just a history of producing damage and all those power outages we were alluding to earlier. Wind continues back in the Akron area, Kent, down towards Randolph, but that is at least sub-severe as of right now, as that main push has come through. And then we're going to watch this for you in Stark County. Still kind of squirrely down here. You see how we still have a couple of these little areas we're watching where you get the bright colors next to each other. You get a little wind minimum there, and then you wind maximum right next to each other. That can produce some spin, so we'll watch that cell. That should be right over Jackson Township right now, just south of Massillon, heading into the Canton area, right over Jackson, Hills and Dales, Myers Lake. You're in the path of perhaps a squirrely part of that storm, but still some strong winds pushing in. Canton, you'll get into the action here probably another 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll continue to keep our eye on this Wayne County portion of this storm. This still doesn't look great to me, getting ready to cross the border into northern Holmes County. Still some rotation with that. And to Betsy's point earlier, the radar is way up in the Cleveland area, right? That radar beam is looking higher in the sky right now, and these tornadoes tend to be low-level features, so we're not getting a read of the surface down in Wayne County. We're getting a read of what's happening up in the cloud. So if we even see the minimum sign of a rotation down here, we need to take that seriously because it could be a much different story down at the surface. Bets?
Yeah, it's one of those things like you're trying to solve a puzzle. You become kind of an investigator on this, and you're a detective, and you're figuring out where the patterns are and how things are working out across the area. I'm just kind of trying to filter through some of the damage reports that are coming in, and I do say some because there are many. We have wires down in several locations. We've had a tree down onto an occupied vehicle that was in Fairview Park not too long ago. Up in Euclid, numerous trees, wires down on Edgecliff Drive near 255th. This is coming from the National Weather Service. Into the Akron area, tree down on a car in Goodyear Heights in Akron. So that's one of the areas hit by that big push of wind as it came through. Up into Kent, spotter 1.5 miles southwest of Kent reported numerous trees and limbs snapped, power out, measured an 80-mile-per-hour wind gust on a backyard weather station. And that is that line that continues to move to the east through Ashtabula and Trumbull County.
Look at the mesolow that's developed heading into Ashtabula and Lake County.
Yeah. Okay, so let's put this, is this weather 2? Let's put that, can we put weather 2 on the key and we'll point this out here. It's this right here. So what'll happen is we get this cold pool that builds back in Michigan. We started these thunderstorms, right? And then they start to push forward, and you'll have different winds in the atmosphere that begin to kind of propel these thunderstorms. And then we have cold air that's locked in here, and everything starts to work together to push this big line of thunderstorms out. And we can get small vortices that form on either end of the line, and oftentimes above the surface you'll have a much larger vortex or a big spin that is kind of swirling, and it's likely this spin that is energizing that thunderstorm that is now moving through Ashtabula and Trumbull counties. So it is trying to move a lot of air, and all of that air is being pushed forward. It kind of becomes like,
it really does.
Guiding me along here. We kind of
it really does. It becomes its own storm system.
It does. It becomes its own little storm system. So meso meaning mesoscale, mid-scale, not large scale, not small scale, mesoscale. It's kind of in the middle. And you can see it's just incredible. Watch how once that swirl starts, look at that part of the line just light up. So we're seeing a lot of push. That's that cold air. It makes like a cold front. It's the shovel that's moving all of the snow. It's moving all the air. And then along that line, you start to get the little chips that come in, and that's the little pulses of high wind. And we're likely beginning to measure and detect some of those pulses as they're coming through, the 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts that we've had, 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts throughout portions of northeast Ohio. So just an incredible night once again. But here's the thing, everybody. Once we get this out of here, we're done. We get to then have a really nice weekend ahead. So that's some good news.
You want to talk about the 60s next week? Yeah. I mean, we're getting late night. We got a lot of probably loopy viewers like we're getting.
Right? Everybody's been waking up. By the way, if you are in Trumbull County, Portage County, or northern sections of Mahoning County, and you were awoken on your phone not by a tornado warning, but by a severe thunderstorm warning. That's because it's outlined in purple. That's the destructive tag that is on this. So the National Weather Service has the opportunity to issue alerts to phones, and it's all based off of the towers. So they draw the box where the greatest area of threat is. That's called the polygon. And if there's a cell phone tower within the polygon, all the cell phones that are attached to that tower will be alerted. of either a tornado warning, a significant, a considerable, or destructive or life-threatening flash flood situation. That's what we had last night. And then we also have destructive and considerable severe thunderstorm warnings. Look at the 80+ mile-per-hour wind gusts that are on the leading edge here. All of this is just causing destruction here. We know we've had damage done, trees down, power lines down. We've had 80-mile-per-hour winds clocked there. We're starting to really see these winds pick up. Look at that, Matt, throughout portions of southern sections of Portage County and northern Stark County. This is above the surface, but this is really starting to look like we're probably going to start to push this down to the surface. So this is definitely beginning to propel a little bit faster. So treat this as a tornado warning, everybody, and it's a big one. We've got basically the south end of Portage County, south of Kent now, so we're down in Brimfield, and then over toward areas around Deerfield, and then Alliance to Canton, so right along 62 and point south. So Minerva, you are in this. East Sparta, you are in this, as well as New Franklin, Brown, Rose, Augusta, and Carrollton. This will be crossing over. Now, Carrollton has been put under a severe thunderstorm warning. That's handled by the National Weather Service office in Pittsburgh. So that becomes an interesting thing. Real quick, I want to try something. Let's kick it over to Weather One if we could. I'm going to try and see if we can query off of the other radar. So remember, we're starting to get into the part of northern Ohio where we can select radars and we can bring in the National Weather Service radar in Pittsburgh to help us out on this. So let me see if I can get this thing to dial in on this for me. I'm trying to get it to do the Pittsburgh radar. It's not behaving right now, but we do have the ability to tap into the Pittsburgh radar once we hit a certain area down here, and I just don't have it turned on right now. But southern sections.
It looks like it's out, Bets. It's out.
What's that?
There's an outage.
What? Oh, Pittsburgh's out.
Yeah, it's not showing up on anything.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, that would
Yeah, it's
answer
out.
that. So we're going to rely on the Weather Service office in Cleveland for this as it's going. So this entire warning here that includes Carroll County and then over toward the Pittsburgh area, that is handled by the National Weather Service office in Pittsburgh. And I'm sure they are relying on Cleveland to help them out with this. This brown area right here, this is a very big concern, everybody. This is a huge swath of high winds, 90+ mile-per-hour potential winds involved in this as it continues to push to the southeast. We've seen this now growing rather than settling down, and this could be the thunderstorm complex itself beginning to collapse. It could be some other things happening, including, we get into nighttime cooling here, and that changes the way that the atmosphere works a little bit, and we can oftentimes have things that start to get pushed along just above the surface. But that's a 95-mile-per-hour wind that is showing up on the radar right now, and that will continue to move south. As Matt just did the storm track on that just a minute ago, that includes all of eastern Stark County, anywhere east of 77 in Stark County, southern Portage County, and then this is going to clip into Carroll County as well. If you're in Tuscarawas County, I think the worst of that is going to miss you. If you're in the west end of Stark County, you have some rough weather happening. You've got the potential for some big wind gusts out around Perry and Massillon, up into Canal Fulton and farther south into Wilmot. But I think by and large, the biggest threat right now is going to be right here, east of Akron, south of Kent. City of Canton, you're in this. Louisville, you are in this, as well as Alliance down into Minerva, East Sparta. Bolivar, Zor, you're kind of on the edge of this. I would aim more down toward Carrollton, Delroy, getting into Leesville areas here in Carroll County, and all of this will continue to sink to the south as well. So I'm going to do a quick query. Matt, you want to take over from here and try and see if we can get some more of those towns named out there?
Yeah, we certainly can. Big picture here, again, southern part of this line as we get down towards Richland County, getting into Holmes County, we're starting to see some weakening. It's becoming outflow driven, so the energy, the push of energy with this line isn't quite there. It's going to take some time. You're still going to get some rough storms, and we'll have to watch for that severe threat. But yeah, let's get down to that wind portion of the storm. Again, that's the most dangerous part that we continue to track. And here you go. It's going to get kind of interesting as we get further away from the Cleveland radar here. Without that Pittsburgh radar, it's going to be a little bit tougher read, but we can still get through this storm for our southern counties without that. But Again, Stark County, you're really getting hit right now with that line as it continues to push in. Now getting down south of US 30, right near Sugar Creek Beach City as well, East Sparta, you're about to get that gust of wind or that initial push of wind as it moves in. That's been causing that damage as it's moved in from the north. The strongest winds right now, though, are getting into areas of northern Carroll County. So Sandy, Brown, Augusta, as Betsy was talking about, that's where the real strong wind, which is right over Louisville right now, that's when that's going to push in. Probably another 5-10 minutes for you in Augusta, getting down into Rose, about another 10 minutes or so, and then eventually into Carrollton, probably another 10 to 15 minutes before that initial wind hits you. And it's that initial wind that's causing the problems, all right? That's what's causing the tree limbs to go down, some of the power lines, all that good stuff. It's usually that initial hit as that moves through with the rain and the wind combined. And then eventually this is getting out to Columbiana County, Mahoning County as well, so just outside our viewing area, but you can see this big pocket of wind. So my mom was watching down in the Talmadge area, and she just asked, she's like 80-mile-per-hour wind in Talmadge right now. The wind that we're tracking within this and what you're seeing on the radar is above the surface. So if you were to have a really tall tree house and you went up into the top of the trees, up into, just south of the clouds, somewhere in that level, that's where the winds are howling right now, all right? And that's what the radar is picking up on. It doesn't always translate down to the surface. We know a lot of this has been translating down to the surface or where we are with that initial hit of storms, but thereafter it may become a little bit more elevated. So there's a lot of wind energy here. You're probably getting breezy, if not windy conditions, but to the order of 70, 80 miles per hour, that may be just above you. So that's some good news for those folks back in Akron and Portage County. But as we get down into southern Stark County, this will get into northern Tuscarawas County as well. Strasburg, Mineral City, the winds aren't quite as strong as they're going to push into you, but this is still going to be a reputable storm as it moves down to the south. You can see in terms of where the rain is right now, we're now getting that initial hit of rain, getting ready to cross through southern Stark County, that border there along 77 into Strasburg and eventually Mineral City. Millersburg, you're about to get wet as well. Your severe threat is there, but the good news is this is mainly outflow moving in, so you're getting that initial hit of wind. You wait a couple minutes and then the rain hits. That's a sign that the storm is weakening, and then it just becomes a rain threat as you get back into Mansfield, Ashland County, Worcester. You're about done with the heavy rain, but you've already had quite a bit. And then back into the Canton, North Canton area, you're seeing some very heavy rain as well. Off towards the north, if you're still watching us, bless your heart, but you can go to bed in the Cleveland area. We've got a general rain right now. I mean, it's coming down good in Lake County and Geauga County, but your severe weather threat is absolutely over. The only part of Northeast Ohio that should be up right now, unless you're a third shift worker, is this portion down here, our southern counties, all right? Everyone else get some sleep. You've got a fun, active Friday planned, I'm sure, and you could use the sleep. What's interesting is we're seeing this development back here.
Right, that's what I was going to point out.
Yeah, that's not a threat to us here locally. That will likely form into maybe some more severe weather, but that would track this direction just to the west of the viewing area.
May clip parts of Richland County in a few hours, but I would have to say, right now, the big push is out in Trumbull County, Mahoning County, that eastern push, and that's going to become Pittsburgh's problem real soon. But then also through Stark County and down into Carroll County. I've been getting the best pictures from folks, and they're letting us know that they're watching, and I appreciate that. Some folks are watching on the app, other folks are streaming. There's a lot of power outages, and people are saying we don't have power, but we appreciate being able to watch and keep updated with what's going on the phone. So we're going to kind of start to change a little bit here and do a little bit more of what Matt was doing, and that is the send-off for the night. So we'll call it severe clear, all right? I'm going to name counties that are completely severe clear right now. Erie County, you are severe clear. So good night, Sandusky and Vermilion and Huron. Huron County, you are also severe clear. So Fitchville, New London, up into portions around Norwalk, you folks can head to bed. Bellevue, you can head to bed too. Lorain County may have a few lightning strikes, some boomers, those big low boomers that we're here in downtown Cleveland too, with moderate rain. That would include Lorain, Elyria, right down into Wellington to Columbia Station. You folks can head to bed. Good evening. Hope you had a nice day today. Cuyahoga County, we still have some very heavy rain that's coming down, so we may start to see some flooding issues in some of our urban areas. We know we have a lot of power outages. At last I checked, it was 45,000 people without power, 45,000 customers without power just in Cuyahoga County, but we are getting these low boomers of the lightning that continues at this point, and you can see we're still getting it. So we still have some energy in the atmosphere, but for now and probably for the rest of the night, Cuyahoga County is severe clear at this point. Lake County, we are watching the flooding threat now. So we have a moderate rain that is sticking around for a while on already saturated soils, but it does not look like we have a significant severe threat. That threat has moved east. So if you don't have any basement flooding issues going on, or you don't live in an area that is flood prone, have a great night. Hope you get some good sleep. Geauga County, much the same. Enjoy the rain hitting the roof and those low boomers, but the severe weather threat is out of there. Ashtabula County, you are also severe clear. Trumbull County, hang in there. We can't say it's severe clear yet because it's not quite out of there, and we do have the winds that are lagging behind the initial line. So those counties that I've already named, which would be Erie, Huron, Lorain, Cuyahoga, Lake Geauga, and Ashtabula counties, you folks are severe clear. Farther south, we're not quite out of the woods yet. Medina County, I'm going to say that you are severe clear. Summit County, we're just about there. We're trying to get rid of these winds, but if the wind isn't going to bother you, it's not going to change tonight. So just go ahead and head to bed. Have a good night. Portage County, we are still dealing with some of the high winds, especially the southern part of the county at this point, but I think the overall threat is starting to shift south, so you can probably go winding down. So you are also severe clear. Richland, Ashland, Wayne, Holmes, Stark, Tuscarawas, and Carroll counties, you're still in it, I'm sorry to say. So if you are kind of getting nervous, keeping an eye on things, the most severe areas that we are still watching at this point continue to be in Stark County and then farther to the east. So Carroll County, that heads up is for you. You have some very strong wind that's still coming your direction, at least the potential for that strong wind. Meanwhile, farther west throughout Wayne County and Holmes County and into Ashland and Richland counties, overall the intensity of these thunderstorms I think are now sub-severe. So you may still have some gusty winds. You're still going to have some heavy downpours that are coming through and the rumbles of thunder, but the growth potential is not there anymore. So we'll say you are now severe clear. Holmes County and Tuscarawas County are kind of next up for us as we get the rain that continues to move to the south. With the lightning and the thunder, you may be waking up and you're kind of rubbing your eyes a little bit, wondering what's going on. Maybe you click on the TV if you're a bit of a night owl or insomniac at this point. But we do have the potential for some very heavy rain to come down. We've had some flooding issues in these areas, but it does look like the overall intense severe threat is east of you and not really going to be moving through that area. So that is definitely some good news. The other part of it too, I don't believe at this point, let me put my phone down. I've been watching. It's so interesting to see what folks are doing, and they're sending pictures of their pets in the basement with them and just talking it through, and I do appreciate that. So there's the wind threat, and again, we're in eastern portions of Stark County, Portage County. This threat is beginning to move out, and I do think the most intense part of the area, the most critical area where we have the greatest risk of the really high winds is still going to be right on the leading edge of this. We could get some rando gusts that are coming through Stark County or Portage County, but I think for the most part, that is settling down at this point, and it's just going to ride itself out. So we are down kind of to the last dregs here of our severe thunderstorm warnings. The tornado warnings are all done. I don't foresee at this point additional tornado warnings being issued just based on kind of where we are with this as it's continuing to move to the east. I will confer with my colleague, Matt Wintz.
Yeah.
Say ye, sir.
I say ye. I think we look good. Bet's that wind back behind. We're asking the Weather Service about it, and Pittsburgh was talking about it as well. It's the rear inflow jet. So we talked about that whole complex being a system. So we've got a jet stream kind of coming in. So the radar's getting a sample of that. So most of you, despite the fact our velocity is showing real strong winds over you after that initial band goes through, most of you seeing anywhere from 25 to 35 mile per hour winds. So it's still breezy, still windy outside, but no big concerns behind this system. So everyone get some sleep. I'll send it back to you to.
Okay, I think we should see a forecast, sir.
Oh, well, why don't we do that? Why not?
They've been hanging with us this long. You might as well tell them what's coming in the next 10 days.
I forgot we started this show, with the actual newscast. Let's just dive into it real quick. We'll keep this real brief for you. Here you go. So let's start. We'll pull up Weather 2 here, which I think we're on, and we'll get the forecast preview running. Here's tomorrow. mainly cloudy tomorrow morning. We may have a lingering shower, lots of clouds. I imagine we're going to have lots of kind of steam, kind of murky outside tomorrow morning after all that rain, and it's still going to be muggy. We don't get the dry air in here tomorrow morning, so we'll be in the 70s. And then we should see gradual clearing as we get beyond the midday hour. Some sunshine breaks out. High temperatures, upper 70s to near 80 tomorrow. But the mugginess doesn't quite go away. So in terms of that muggy meter, it takes a while this time of year to get dry air in here. So northwest flow, that'll keep some showers coming. But